Oh my god. Alright, do we have a look at fucking MancPete in his video, or do we go straight? Let's get through the MancPete stuff, and then we'll have a look at that birthday cake. Oh wow, Clary. Lex isn't even interested right now because of the spam. Hey, Debs. So, MancPete, 20 hours ago. Wait. It's 21 hours ago. Why isn't that one showing? Apparently having an NSFW section on my Discord means I'm a grooming porn baron now. Correction, 2 NSFW sections. I'll be handing out combs and that for all your grooming needs. But on a serious side note, how disingenuous and malicious do you have to be to try to characterize someone having a section of their Discord where people can post stuff not appropriate for kids? Also, my content, my presence online isn't aimed at kids. I did a whole video about this. In fact, at me. Oh boy, in fact, at me. I did a whole video about this. Seriously, to restate, my content, my online presence, any of it, not aimed at kids. You hack fuck. I'm a hack fuck. Oh no. Oh no. Somebody should probably tell Cringey that I'm a hack fuck. Should probably tell his partner I'm a hack fuck. Whoa. What's up, Noor? I mean, no, I've already had one surprise tonight, Norman. Already had one fun surprise tonight, so we're just rolling with it, aren't we? We already had 2 fun surprises tonight, mate. We already had 2 fun surprises. Debs, I'm already emotionally and mentally drained from less than an hour's streaming. Completely destroyed already, but it's all good. I need to check what Van said to me. I need to check. Sorry, I need to see, because me and her are talking as well. I need to see what she said. Someone watching using the name Kaya and Co. No way. Account created 9 minutes ago. Oh, poor Kaya. Somebody got in there first. There's been no tea yet. I just... Not really. Oh no, Zan hasn't replied to me yet. What a pain. Well, let's see what's going on the Twitter then. Alright, so I need to watch that video of theirs, obviously. This video is age restricted. Oh God. Wow. So what's up now, Pete? Stupidity and nonsense, hun. By the way, apparently I have to ask your nearly 40-year-old ass for your driver's license. DM it me. Obviously joking. Well, no, I even said to him, guys, you were there in the stream last night. You were there in the stream. Nah, Choco's birthday cake, Debs. It's all good. You were there in the stream last night. Literally. You guys remember me saying to him that one way of age verification is just like having fucking being in a fucking group chat, you know, actually talking face to face with people, seeing their faces. You know, if people are obviously over the age of 25, if they're a 40-year-old and you've spoken them face to face, no, I don't expect you as a non-business entity to have to like go through the rigmarole of IDing them. Even shops don't have to do that for obvious reasons. But that's one thing for private Discord, isn't it? Debs, they've made 1 million accounts. You were here the other night. You've spoken to them a load already again since then. I'm starting to think all of you have DID and amnesia and stuff. Literally. Yeah, I get it. No, Debs, I don't expect you to remember everything's going on. You're tired and exhausted and have more important things going on in your life. I know. Yeah, they've been told that they know. Look, Debs, basically, I'll put it this way. If you want to ban him at any point, feel free to ban him, okay? Sound good? But just let it have a fresh reason, okay? We're rolling the dice on them one more time. Can you let me have that? I mean, you got your ban hammer, alright, so. Oh, yeah. Someone thinks you need to check IDs. Like, you clearly mark the NSFW channel, so what else can you do? Well, you can just not have NSFW channels. What? You can just not have NSFW channels in your public forum for fans. Inissian, before Discord existed, had a forum. On that forum, people as fans, there was an NSF sharing area, but even, I think that he got rid of like pretty quickly. Even the main issue is like just like people sharing pictures of themselves on there and rating them. You literally never encourage in a public forum where you know a percentage of your fan base is minors. I know the majority of my fan base are adults, but because there's a chance that some of them are minors, in my public Discord, I am expected to manage as my name, my face, my reputation behind it. I'm not going to enable anyone or any place or platform within something that I am overseeing for people to share and engage in illegal behavior. Such as sharing porn with minors. It's literally illegal to share porn with minors. Like, this isn't even a question of morals or anything. This is just a question of legality now. You can't share porn directly with minors. It's one thing having a Twitter, which is a platform, yet again, where you can publicly share your likes and interests. And yeah, there are plenty of adult creators out there who also share their adult likes and interests on their Twitter that maybe they don't share on their YouTube or whatever. But if they then run that's different, as I say. That's, liking pictures, sharing pictures, whatever. And sometimes people do still look down at them for that or judge them for that. But it's wholly different to the sort of direct nature that is involved with running a very small creators forum. He's smaller than I am. He has like 100 subs on YouTube or something. There must only be 10 or 20 people in his Discord. It's probably the same size as mine. And in the public, even in the private area, we don't share porn. If any of you start doing that, you know the rules. No flirting, no legal shit. Right? But like, can you imagine in the public area where I have no idea who anyone is or what age they are? If people just start sharing or recommending porn with each other? No. That's really wrong and gross. Really, really wrong and gross. You just straight up don't do that. Wait. Was that really all there was from it, I guess? And then he's retweeting some shit. Either way, despite having to deal with clowns, I'm tired. Can't even bother to make a decent poo joke. Here's a meme of a jizzing Robocop kiss kiss. Why do creeps always defend themselves by being creepy? This just in, at Pete Rollman admits to and defends grooming in his Discord server with the public hardcore BDSM prawn channel. These levied accusations you were talking about, confirming 16-year-olds have been in those channels. Who knows how much younger have seen them? And he just ignores it and fucking takes a screenshot of it and says, "Nice try, you're referring to an 18 plus NSFW section of a Discord server." Pornhub is 18 plus. People share porn on there. The law says you're not allowed on there unless you're over the age of 18. And yeah, Discord's own terms of services, I'm pretty sure, say you're not actually meant to use Discord and not allowed on Discord unless you're over the age of 18. But they can't verify this stuff. And so it's taken upon you, as somebody who runs a community. It literally is not in Discord's hands. The law does go so that things that you run in those communities and shit, you can't. What's up, Mooney? What did you send back? I haven't muted fake Chloe. I haven't muted anyone. What are you on about? What are all these accusations? What's going on? Hiding in plain sight, Grandad? What are you all on about? Associative organizational noodle training. So, 1, you're referring to an 18 plus NSF dub section of Discord server. 1, which is strictly moderated. 2, those weren't the accusations leveled. You know that because you've stated yourself you know they're false. 3, what fucking grooming? You're failing hard. You're either so stupid that you'd actually believe this, or more likely, so malicious that you're now reframing a rebuked attempt to smear me with another interpretation of a totally different thing. Please, get some help, you total fucknut. Oh my god. Yay, free inhaler. Decent. Hilariously, I got my inhalers in the post today as well. 2 of my brown ones. Good shit. Free of charge, of course. Hey Lex, it's not self-promo Monday either. Right. It's just very easy, mate. Again, it literally just comes down to the fact you don't know the age of your audience and stuff, and so even when you're making adult content explicitly for adults, you could flag every single video on your channel and all your content as for adults only, and you still can't have a Discord that isn't explicitly for like kink and shit or whatever, or for explicitly for adults, where you're not age verifying, is the point. There are adult only Discords out there and kink Discords, and they have to have verification procedures in place, or they're kind of sketchy places, to be honest, where horrible shit goes down and lots of grooming accusations and things come out of them. There's a reason I do not allow for any of that shit. Yeah, in my server, exactly. I don't know why anyone would be sharing porn randomly in there. It'd just be so weird. Like, you guys know, for fuck's sake, you don't even share, like, you're allowed to share photos of yourself if you want, You know me, I won't even let you share photos of your kids or anything. Like, one of my all-time favourites of all of you got in trouble with that when you very first joined. Hilariously. Absolutely hilariously. I just remembered that. I just remembered that hilariously. You know, because you can't... I'm one person. I'm not an organisation. I don't have the ability to oversee this shit. I don't have the ability to moderate something in a truly legal, ethical manner, you know? So I put rules in place, and yeah, I wave that fucking ban hammer, because the ban hammer is the only thing I have to keep me safe. It's not about separating shit and putting it into one channel and putting it into another channel. Because if you're going to be doing that, you need to be having an age verification process in place. You do. You literally, you really do. You can't put it on the parents either. The fact that he's put it on the parents in one of these bits, like, where is that comment? Like, was that somebody else who said that to me? Someone thinks you need to check IDs. Where is it? When regulating NSFW on Discord, only 2 apparent options exist. Ban it or direct it to a channel so people don't accidentally stumble on it. People won't accidentally stumble on it in any of my channels. What a fucking bullshit, dumbass pedo answer. Those who join his Discord aren't likely to be minors. Same for mine. If they knowingly use the NSFW channels, then that's for them and parents to handle. No. That's literally not how that works. I really wish the child safeguarding course that every teacher in the UK has to do was just every human has to do it.
It's become apparent.
He did post this in April. So wait, how long have people been... What's been happening?
It has become apparent that there has been an influx of younger or underage viewers watching my live streams and talking in the chats on them.
Why does he have such an ugly avatar? I kept thinking it was an ugly avatar whenever I saw just the small picture of it, but now finally seeing the big picture of it. Oh my god, that's an ugly avatar. It's so badly drawn. It's not like good ugly, you know what I mean? It's just a really, really bad picture. It's not like any kind of purposeful ugly. It's just a bit bad. Is it meant to be a smile or a grimace? Does anybody know?
And I'd like to take a moment to address this issue, as well as provide a warning to the people that I suspect may be facilitating this. Stay tuned for that. I will address it towards the end. My livestream content and a large proportion of my video content is categorically not suitable for younger audiences. My channel as a whole is intended for mature audiences. While I admit I do live stream myself playing video games, on a side note, it's not as if I'm playing fucking Pokemon, Fortnite, or Noddy's Adventures in fucking Toyland, is it? However, that's by the by. The commentary and chat on said live streams is incontrovertibly and unmistakably intended for mature audiences. So, before I go into a few deeper thoughts and discussion on the situation, I will highlight a few changes I'm implementing into the presentation of my streams in future. Firstly, I will have on-screen disclaimers pointing out that the stream is intended for mature audiences. This disclaimer will also be repeated at regular intervals in the chat via my Streamlabs bot.
That stuff shouldn't be necessary.
I will also be age restricting my streams, which, while a direct hindrance on the growth of my channel, seems like the last sensible option. I watch a
Mate, I love you so much, you fucker. Yeah, I don't age restrict all my content. I age restrict some, but that's normally for the nature of the content. It's not even because I swear or anything. It'll be like, it's like my Grenfell Tower video. I think I age restricted that. It's very upsetting, disturbing content. But you don't need to put a warning all over the place being like, this content is only put. Unless you're doing porn. Like the hot tub streams sometimes had like adult viewers only sort of, you see on Twitter like people saying like under 18s DNI, do not interact, and it's like, you really shouldn't need that. Just don't interact with minors. Do you get me? Do you get me, fam? It's normally obvious.
lot of YouTube, and I can count on my hand the amount of channels I see that are clearly intended for mature audiences that do not take this measure. So on paper, I don't see that I should either. However, if it's clear that I do, then that's what I'll do. In regards to the other issue of entry into my...
Oh my god. He just has one animation of his face going back and forth, and then then he does like a blend to blur the animation back in, a transition, because God, I thought Cringey's content with just her face in the middle of a white screen was boring and low effort. This is somehow more low effort? Even when I used to be a faceless, avatar-only, low-effort YouTuber on my old channel that I'm not very proud of, I put in more effort than this.
I do. Then that's what I'll do. In regards to the other issue of entry into my Discord server, which has been asked about, it has been, for quite a while, completely locked down, and invites can be generated only by myself. And it's staying like that. I've mentioned in past videos and streams that I'm extremely proud of the community and channel that I've built, however small. But
that's why I have a public Discord and a private Discord, basically. But you have to be able to I wouldn't be able to do it, any kind of age verification process, without the public Discord first. I can't age verify. And again, I don't then have a porn board. It's literally just, I want to have an area that he's saying I do want a wiggle finger safe space for the people that I've grown to like and respect on the internet myself. I can foster that. I don't need to foster that with a porn area for us. That would be so fucking gross.
As those in my community are aware, we have had issues in the past when the server was more open and accessible with bad actors, troublemakers, drama, and other undesirable people and behaviours.
Yeah, we've had trolls, we've banned them. Trolls aren't an issue because we don't have a porn board.
That said, in the last 9 months or so, since I've locked the server down even tighter, that seems to have been completely stamped out. It's sad that it's meant that I've had to build this wall around it to achieve that, but...
And this is why I used to have a server the way he's talking about it, and I felt it was wrong and creepy. I didn't like it. I didn't like the zero accountability, if that makes sense. It felt really weird. I didn't like the old Discord I had. Someone like fucking old man can testify to that. It wasn't the same as the new one is. It was boring, for one. But it also just... the lack of openness, even though there was nothing weird happening there, it made me feel weird. You know what I mean? Having this sort of like invite only mechanism made me feel weird about it. It's hard to explain because, again, I do know I have our invite only area, but that takes quite extensive amount of conversations with people and age verification, and there's no porn board. And I remind you guys all the time to tell me if anything ever seems wrong, you know. Which is what happened last night, Trip.
Poking my head around other communities, I can see around it to achieve that. But poking my head around other communities, I can see that the internet is full of disingenuous twats, outright liars, spurgs, and dangerously volatile people. Which brings me on to the point I made at the start of this upsurge in seemingly underage viewers. Now, since bringing my live streams back to YouTube, which brings me on, the internet is full of disingenuous twats, outright liars, spurgs, and dangerously volatile.
Twats, liars, dangerously volatile people, and autistics, using a derogatory term. What, mate? Are you okay? Someone had been on Kiwi Farms in that month and had adopted a bit too much of the terminology. I've never heard anyone just say it like that. Oh, God. Why would they just...
People. Which brings me on to the point I made at the start of this upsurge in seemingly underage viewers. Now, since bringing my live streams back to YouTube, I did expect a bit of growth. Incidentally, I will address my reasons for bringing...
Just one more time, just for clarity, yeah? Yeah, just for clarity.
Spurgs and ingenuous twats, outright liars. See that the internet is full of disingenuous twats, outright liars, spurgs, and dangerous...
Faceless, disingenuous twats that refuse to put their face behind the disgusting things they say. Right? Oh, it's cringy reading it on Kiwi Farms, for one. Two, I've never heard anyone say it with a hard G. I've heard people saying it with a soft G. I think I myself may have said spurging once or twice, perhaps, and always in reference to myself. Be like, I've been spurging out and that I was diagnosed with Asperger's. So go fuck yourself if you're going to say I'm not spurging out when I'm spurging. If I say I'm spurging out, I think I'm allowed to say that when I was diagnosed with Asperger's when I was younger. I don't like the label. I prefer ASD, but if I want to say I'm spurging out, I can. But when you're just saying the internet is full of disingenuous liars, nasty people, and people with autism, and that's why it is part of his everyday vernacular. I know. It's the same way. It really hit me that hearing it just said that way. It's interesting. It's the same way as if somebody had just dropped the F-bomb, just dropped the N-word, just said the P slur.
Head around other communities, I can see that the internet is full
around other communities
of disingenuous twats, outright liars, spurgs, and dangerously volatile people. Which brings me on to the point I made at the start of this
again, in Cringey's own cringy tweet one time talking about the fact that, you know, him and her have been living less than an hour and a half away during this entire pandemic, yet haven't been able to see each other for over a year and a half, and they just want to touch each other after a year and a half. And it's like, you could travel, you know, you could go see them, you could go have sex, you could go see them, you know. Stop running your porn board and go see your supposed girlfriend. Who is who the fuck uses the pandemic as an excuse to not see their partner for a year and a half? That's literally just bad fucking boyfriend and girlfriending. I'm sorry. Fuck caring for the common man and the citizenry after a certain point. Sorry. A year and a half? We haven't been in a lockdown for a year and a half. You're just dumb. What? Like, it's so weird how they both keep talking about how the pandemic has stopped them from seeing each other. Like, it's not. It's so weird. The trains are running and have been for a while. Inshallah. Why are you so desperate for me to say that? Doesn't it just mean in God's will? The arsler. You are an arslut. You are arslut.
Surge in seemingly underage viewers. Now, since bringing my live streams back to YouTube, I did expect a bit of growth. Incidentally, I will address my reasons for bringing my streams back to YouTube from Twitch at a later date. Don't worry, it's nothing scandalous, and I will stream on there again in the future.
What are with the really long pauses between his speaking? I really hate it. You get these YouTubers, and they don't have much to say, or an interesting way of saying it. And so what they tend to do is instead just take a very long and thoughtful pause at strange places in their sentences.
Just have my reasons at the moment. It's all to do with growth and motivation more than anything. What I didn't expect was for scale. If Charlie at 16,000 subscribers calls herself a micro channel, I guess that makes me a femto channel. And to suddenly get so many new viewers, I accept part of that may be down to the fact that I largely stream video games. As previously stated, though, I'm not convinced that's fully the issue, as the games I play, I wouldn't have thought had such a mass appeal for young audiences. But then again, I'm in my mid-30s. I lost track of what's cool or trendy old.
Mooney, I keep explaining this to you guys. The way libel and slander work in the UK is different to in America anyway. We don't have to worry about it the same way you guys do. That's why they're trying to pass the online harms bill, because currently the only people that have to worry about libel and slander are people in journalism. It's only if you are an in-print or on TV or on radio, Ofcom regulated body or person that you actually have to worry about libel or slander, or a limited business, a charity. But you need to have some kind of regulatory body overseeing you for there to be any concern of libel or slander, which is why I could say anything I like about anyone, basically, and if a newspaper prints it in an op-ed and it's clearly labelled as an opinion and not as news, the newspaper is safe. If the newspaper published it as news, they would be in trouble, not me. That's the whole online harms argument, because currently Facebook aren't responsible for the things that are published on Facebook as a platform. Unlike in a newspaper, where if they were to publish dangerous content as fact, the newspaper would get sued. Facebook can allow people to publish dangerous content as fact and get sued. But not get sued currently, and nobody gets sued currently. That's the problem. There's very little in place about it, and they want to make it so that actually, same as with newspapers, TV studios, radio stations, if somebody says something on Facebook that is harmful or libelous, not the person won't get charged, the individual won't get charged, but Facebook will face the consequences. They want to do the same to YouTube. But when they threatened that against YouTube, they threatened that against YouTube in all of Europe. And that was what that prop, whatever, was about a few years ago. And they kept saying that would be the end of YouTube in Europe, and us Europeans wouldn't be able to watch content anymore. And then they were like, nope. Not happening, actually, because they need YouTube more. But yeah. Do you not remember Donald Trump, right? Before he became president of the United States, one of his big selling points was, one of the things he used to say was, crooked Hillary, when I win, we're going to open up the libel laws. We're going to make it like the United Kingdom. We're going to open up the libel laws and we're going to sue crooked Hillary. Well, it's interesting because actually it is easier to sue people here in the UK than it is in the US in some manners. But he was wrong there because it's not when it comes to libel and slander. But it actually would have been with her where she was, once you're a body, once you're like where she is such a public figure, anything she says on any platform has to be moderated in a sense, if that makes sense. But me, as a nobody, I'm not yet at the level, there is a level of followship now that I think once you hit something like over 20,000 followers on any platform here in the UK, you're officially an influencer, legally speaking. And then there are now rules placed on you, as it turns out, by our laws. They're very new laws. But I'm not there yet. So I can literally say anything the fuck I want about pretty much anyone. And as long as that thing isn't in court currently and thus couldn't hold me in contempt of court, I'm all good. Now, of course, newspapers and stuff, they have all sorts of stuff placed upon them. So there's really interesting new things newspapers. Let's carry on with this and then I'll talk about that.
A long time ago. And if I'm honest, I stopped caring even longer. I look for young audiences. But then I
can't remember where he was last talking.
As previously stated, though, I'm not convinced that's fully the issue, as the games I play, I wouldn't have thought had such a mass appeal for young audiences. But then again, I'm in my mid.
Why does he sound like such a creepy... He's got the creepy nonce voice. I wouldn't have thought what I'm doing appealed to the younglings.
Mid-30s, I lost track of what's cool or trendy a long time ago. And if I'm honest, I stopped caring even longer ago than that. What does strike me as odd, though, is the timing. Over the last few weeks, even months, other creators I know, and friends with, or are otherwise connected to, seem to be facing disingenuously applied lies and accusations.
It's almost like you were connected to a drama tuber who kept obsessively networking and bringing eyes upon you.
While I initially felt insulated from any fallout, this is the internet. And the people my friends are dealing with seem to have no concept of when enough's enough.
Is he a faceless streamer or does he have his face on stream?
I genuinely wouldn't put it past some of them to try and broaden this out, to keep it going in order to farm more bullshit content for themselves. All that said, I genuinely have no proof of this, nor do I have any desire to publicly accuse anyone at this point.
How long has this been going on for him, eh?
I will say this, however. There are a number of people out there who may see this and may think I'm talking about them. If that's you, you may be right. You're on my radar. And trust me, if or when it comes out that you're playing some gay ops.
Pardon?
Comes out that you're playing some gay ops. This will only end worse for you.
So one, he's trying to threaten nobodies on the internet, and two, do I have to rewind that again?
Some gay ops. This will only end.
You fucking disgusting prick! What the actual fuck is wrong with you, you scumbag? What do you mean people are playing gay ops? What do you mean? What?
That you're playing some gay ops. This will only end worse for you than you could ever make me look. But I don't want to overstress that angle.
Mate, I literally heard about you last week. I spoke to you probably last night in my stream, and over the course of that, you self-reported non-stop. And now you share this video with me to try and make yourself look good. You share this video with somebody that was bullied continuously their entire life. Called the F word, called a faggot their entire fucking life growing up at school. Because they happened to be a little effeminate. And because of that, could only come out finally last year. You think sharing a video with me where you attack people for using gay ops on you is a defense? And your audience are fine with this? What a bunch of dumbass bigots. What the fuck is wrong with you, you prick?
As I say, this will only end worse for you if, or when, it comes out that you're playing some gay ops. This will only end worse for you than you could ever make me look.
This is his defense for being accused of being a groomer. Saying that people accusing him are just playing gay ops and he's going to get them back. How fucking, you sick cunt.
But I don't want to overstress that angle. As I say, I have nothing but a gut feeling to go on. My gut feelings are usually right. Returning to finish the point about having underage people watching my content.
Here's another person. He and Cringey were such big fans of mine, and this is why he was trying to talk to me and stuff, because he's heartbroken, same as she is, that I've turned against them, clearly.
Beyond the measures I mentioned earlier, I literally can't stop anyone watching my content. I won't stop anyone from watching my content or talking in my chat. I only hide.
Ableist, homophobic, pervert, incel scum? Like, what?
Stroke block people who outright deserve it. And trust me, I can and do put up with a lot of nonsense. I talk to a blind girl on a daily basis, for instance. How do I feel about children watching my content? They probably shouldn't.
Wait,
and
what?
As a note to any kid...
Wait. Sorry, I missed... What? Wait. Wow.
And trust me, I can and do put up with a lot of nonsense. I talk to a blind girl on a daily basis, for instance. How do I feel about children?
I talk to blind girl. I thought you said a blind girl, but blind girl must be somebody's name.
Children watching my content? They probably shouldn't. And as a note to any kid who's been watching my content, seriously, this ain't for you. I'm flattered that you enjoy it, if you enjoy it. But seriously, there's better stuff on YouTube, aimed more appropriately at you.
I agree, no kids are watching this content right now because it's too boring. Even I'm struggling to pay attention, despite how hilariously terrible it is. I'm struggling to pay attention because kids in general, and especially people with ADHD, need a bit more fun and excitement and editing. Like, why do he and Cringey not edit their videos? I mean, I personally feel I need more cuts and more memes and more things in my videos than I normally put in, to be honest, that they're not high energy enough. Because literally whenever I make them more high energy, you guys fucking love it. Everyone, like, this is just lazy, terrible content. It's weird. And who makes this sort of apology and doesn't put their face behind it? And, I think the YouTuber's name is Blind Girl, or content creator's Twitch streamer's name is Blind Girl. I've seen their handle before. That's just their name. Yeah, I'll find it. I'll just find it.
Just watch that instead. For those of you still here, but seriously, there's better stuff on YouTube, aimed more appropriately at you. Just watch that instead. For those of you still here, after I've rambled on for however long now.
God, he does the like the creepy inhale. There's better stuff on YouTube. Go watch that instead.
Thank you for watching. Thank you for being part of my community. I'm sorry this had to be another serious video. I like to have fun. But I really had to say something about this before the situation got out of hand. I'll catch you guys later. Peace out. Peace off.
I'm guessing these shorts are his TikToks, so we could just watch these instead. Yeah, the shorts are definitely his TikToks, I'm guessing. Not sure how many I'll be able to endure, so we've got enough open already, I think. The pub stream. He's a pub person. God. Chat with Cringe Monster Productions and friends.
I'm checking my subscription.
Yeah, it's...
Yeah, that's cringy. Her old avatar was better. I'm guessing probably stolen. Yeah. Her new avatar is based on her old avatar, and her old avatar was stolen. Interesting.
Message to for the first time ever.
Yes, this is in portrait. Fucking deal with it. I love the fucking, like, Microsoft Movie Maker 95 edition font and stuff. It's beautiful. This is so Slytherin.
Ah, yes. The Little Book of Calm. Thank you, Charlie.
La la la, Sarah Lulu.
Let's just open it to a definitely random page. Wear Donald Duck underpants. Choose a few childlike accoutrements to remind you of the irreverent, uninhibited, joyous side of life.
Okay, you're a nerd. And you smoke weed. I hate that people that have the same interests as me are grim. But it's the same way I feel with the quartering.
Why am I so fucking angry?
What?
So I've just had my COVID.
Okay, he looks like his avatar.
Jab. Right. And I feel fine. I feel fine. And
Of course he had a weird reaction. Weird result, must watch. Oh, I'm guessing this is probably like a spoof. I'm guessing there's no... But this is...
One of the weirdest side effects I've noticed.
Oh, he's very original.
Apparently, it makes Bluetooth, no, blue tack even, stick to plasters. Has anyone else noticed this? So I used to see this girl.
This is so... They're too slow.
Worked at Marks and Spencer's. And one day she takes a picture of a gimp mask and rubber suit, and
Is he wearing a Ghostbusters outfit? Is he that? I finally realised that's what his avatar is. It's him, but as a Ghostbusters ghost.
tells me exactly what she'd do to me whilst wearing it.
That wasn't any sex text. That was an M&S, S&M, MMS and SMS. See this girl that worked at Marks and Spencer's, and one day she takes a picture of a gimp mask and rubber suit and tells me exactly what she'd do to me whilst wearing it. That wasn't any sex text. That was an M&S.
He's like cracking up and trying not to laugh as he's telling this. This is so weird.
An MMS and SMS.
He thinks he's so clever. Oh my god, he's wearing a Ghostbusters wristband. I've always wondered who's obsessed with Ghostbusters, who the people are out there obsessed with Ghostbusters, because the first film was good. The second film is very different to the first film and not as good. The third film is terrible. The real Ghostbusters, the TV show, is okay for a season and then terrible. Like, I don't really get I don't understand Ghostbusters fans, if that makes sense. Like, it wasn't that big a franchise. It was like culturally huge for a really small period of time, and then just like dragged on through weird merchandising.
Don't stop believing.
This is Boomer Hoomer.
So I just want to say to the spam bot who messaged me on Facebook last night, I live 130 miles away from my girlfriend, and I haven't seen her since September last year. Did you not think I'd recognise a porn star avatar? Actually, that says more.
That I didn't. Mate, I look at a lot of porn. I didn't recognise that avatar.
About
That definitely says a lot more about you. This is so creepy.
me than it should. So I just want to say to the spam bot who messaged me on Facebook last night, I live 130 miles away from my girlfriend, and I haven't seen her since September last year. Did you not think I'd recognise a porn star avatar? Actually, that says more about me than it should.
I understand making cringy self-report humour, but it's really unfunny when you're actually creepy.
So I've noticed there's a bit of a trend here on TikTok and, in fact, YouTube as well, really. I don't know why I pointed over there for YouTube. It's not over there. My computer's over here. But there's a bit of a trend of people...
Why is it mirrored? Why can he not have his... I hate that I can't read what it says that it's mirrored.
getting things slightly wrong or mispronouncing words. Just so people go into the comments and correct them, which increases interaction. And I think it stops here. If you are the kind of person who will deliberately mispronounce words, it stops now. It's not funny and it's not clever.
Yeah, I don't think anybody who watched your attempt at that thought it was funny or clever either.
You was a loser, eh? You said nice things never happened to you.
This is Dave Lister of the JMC Transport Vehicle Starbug. We're down on supplies. We need help. Out. By the way, we're in space. Just with the sort of ready moon a couple of days ago. Coordinates enclosed. It's about that shape.
Oh, this is really bad. He's really bad at... How does anybody do lip syncing badly? What?
This is Dave Lister of the JMC Transport Vehicle Starbug. We're down on...
This is the most boomer TikTok I think I've ever seen in my life. This honestly belongs on like r/boomer TikTok cringe. This is amazing. I'm kind of impressed by just how weirdly bad it is.
Supplies, we need help. Out. By the way, we're in space. Just with the sort of ready moon a couple of days ago. Coordinates enclosed. It's about that shape. Don't listen.
This is why there's sometimes I hate it when girls find out that I smoke cannabis because, like, they assume you're this kind of guy. Was that the trip?
It's about that shape. It's about that shape. Don't listen. Go. Coordinates enclosed. It's about that shape. Don't listen.
Can't have curry anymore. It's racialist or something. So, oh wow, what is this? And he loved. I'm sorry. He's a triggered white guy. Cringey's a triggered white person. They are. Oh my god. He's an okay signing. 2000 August 20. Okay, I was going to say, if this was like 2 years old, maybe. But in August of 2021, I think the entire world was aware of what the OK sign meant. And he's just, this whole thing is, they've taken away the OK sign, and now we can't eat curry anymore. Except nobody says you can't eat curry. Gay ops. Spurg. Sorry, I apologise. Just OK sign. We're just going through what he's. Ugh!
Now it's time for Alan Describes Art, in which I attempt to describe a piece of art created and submitted by one of our listeners. Today's comes from Mick Lindop of Heatherset. So here goes. Well, it's a charcoal drawing of...
Why is he doing a really bad Alan Partridge lip sync? What is this? This is so bad.
A nude lady. She is splayed, let us say. I can't go into any more detail than that. And she has a C D cup bust, pleasantly curvy elsewhere. All in all, a good body. And Mick entitles this Family, which is a bit odd. No, perhaps it's his old mum.
What was that?
And why aren't you in uniform?
Thirst trap. He did a thirst trap. Oh my god, guys, he did a thirst trap. He did a thirst trap.
And why aren't you in uniform?
His hair is so greasy and unwashed, but he's thirst trapping anyway. His hair is so greasy. He didn't even wash for his TikTok. He's so greasy. He's spent the last year and a half greasing up in his mum's basement instead of getting with his girlfriend. Sorry, Norman, I didn't mean to make you so ill. This is giving you fresh cancer, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do this. You know, the other night when we were joking, like we've actually found our Nan replacement, our Team Pinata replacement. I don't even think that was like an under exaggeration. I don't think that was an overstatement. Rather, I honestly feel like this is giving me that same feel.
I say got dressed up, I meant put me Ghostbusters thing on.
Does he never, guys? Does he live in his Ghostbusters overalls?
Well, in fact, level 3 is probably the hardest level in the game, apart from the last one. Oh, fuck.
I drew a stick figure. If I drew a stick figure, people would be like, oh my god, you drew that and you're blind? That's freaking awesome. Whereas if I just drew a stick figure having my eyes that actually worked, it wouldn't be so effective. Now, would it? Everything I do is twice as effective because I can't see stuff.
Well, yeah. Well, we did that stream ages ago, didn't we? Where we both.
This is the other thing that I noticed. So I've been following him on Twitter since the collab thing was first announced. I thought I'd follow MancPete, Charlie's boyfriend, on Twitter. It'd be nice, you know. And I did notice that basically every night, he streams daily for a couple hours. He only does like 3-hour streams, 4-hour streams, but he does stream daily, and normally gaming with this girl that he's talking to right now. So he has like a female BFF that he games with every day that isn't his girlfriend, and he hasn't seen his girlfriend in IRL or slept with her or done anything with her in over a year. And then he runs the porn Discord, and it's just so slimy. It's so slimy. It's so basically slimy. Just who makes a video addressing the issue of underage viewers? Oh. You know, something just gives you the actual heebie-jeebies. Straight up, like, proper heebie-jeebies. Makes your skin crawl a little bit. He's actually 45. I think he's just a weathered. I think he's 35. Just weathered. Oh no, he said he's 34. To be honest, he told us last night he's 34. He's apparently only 34 as well. So I think very, very, very weathered. I believe he's 34. I know that's only 4 years older than me. And it might feel hard to believe that a guy that looks like that is that much older than me. But, you know, you guys have seen my hair can get greasy. Imagine if I literally stopped giving any shit about my appearance for a while. I mean, my jawline still wouldn't quit, so it's just never going to happen, I suppose, is it? I'm just going to have to be this beautiful forever. Yeah, I'd say he's 35. Exactly. Like, it's the right age for the NES games and SNES games. But he hates Pokemon, though, actually. I don't know. Yeah, no, I don't know, Trip, actually. I feel like Real Ghostbusters, he'd have literally been like 4 years old, 3 years old actually. Because Real Ghostbusters was 91, 92 sort of thing. Yeah, I know. To be fair, bro, you are like a very, very good looking 38, I would personally say, to be honest. You give yourself a hard time. I you underestimate, I think, how well you could do if to be honest, if you were to do the Jordan Peterson, stand up straight, tidy your room. You are the classic case, my friend, of if I could stick you in the gym for a year, you would be hot. Not just beyond passing. You would be straight up a hot motherfucker. I could have you as a hot 40-year-old if you let me. Like, we could have you properly hot, I think. Yeah. You don't look 38. You look 32. You look the same age as my brother. You look I almost look older than you, for fuck's sake. That's the drugs. Recessed eyes. Whereas the world has only inflicted its pains upon your brain and not upon your face, luckily. Not a wrinkle upon your... Fuck you guys. Far too long ago. 2 years since I've now stopped pumping the iron for 2 years since it's as long as I've been on my quetiapine. I have not had the physical energy to work out since taking quetiapine, and it's starting to concern me because I have tried. And it's finally hit the point where I'm like, I want to talk to my doctor about it because I don't have the strength anymore. I'm so tired all the time at the moment. I've tried. I have the mental strength to try. I actually do. I've just gone like full blown dead lately where my muscles are jelly. It's like my muscles are actually jelly. I'm hoping I don't have long COVID. Yeah, right now any of you would beat me in an arm wrestle. I am literally the weakest I've been in so long, and it's horrible. I am insecure with my strength at the moment, but I know I can do better. I do think I need to reduce possibly the amount of quetiapine I take. I don't know. But I'm never shaving the beard again. No, the beard is what prevents, far from beta beard, it's a beautiful beard. The beard is what prevents beta granddad appearing. For once, I don't know what you mean, Trip. Also, earlier you mentioned your name and what people getting annoyed at you stealing the name. The funny thing is, I always thought your name originally, before you added the capitalization to the second T, I always thought your name was a reference to Apex Legends and the sniper rifle, the triple take, and Apex Legends. Oh, that was interesting. Never see you on Twitter. I just want to see if Zan said any more. Oh, is she streaming now? What is this? I am a tiny mouse. I'm surrounded by other tiny mice. I love rats' tiny spaghetti hands, but I am sadly not a rat, only tiny mouse. Zan, are you okay? What? 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 Really, you made 2 of 4 curtains finally. Very nice. I see, Trip. I see. Bobo getting back in there. Oh, hilariousness. Absolute hilariousness. Okay. Okay. Is this done? I think I'd already saved all changes to that. Hey guys, highlight from last night. I think I already shared that with you. Sorry, cleaning up tabs quickly. Oh, we could continue watching this. I just wanted to see, has she done any more? Didn't somebody say that she's unblocked everyone on Twitter? Didn't one of you say that Cringey's unblocked everyone on Twitter? I can't remember. Oh, yeah. Okay, right, we can see what she's been saying now. Okay. Oh, of course, she's a Jacqueline Glenn fan. I can't stand Jacqueline Glenn. Ah. Hey, there's one of the tweets that I was hoping wasn't gone. It was honestly about time I did a tweet cleanup, to be honest. So a blessing in disguise. I just noticed that she has the Chinese flag now in her profile. Oh my god. She's full blown UK Chinese now, I guess, in her opinion. And then there's just nothing more from there. Wow. Everything past that deleted. Oh. What's this? Prevalence of double island and Malaysian Chinese, 70% as observed in this current research is higher than expected of Asian population. That's so cropped. Where from? What is this fucking study anyway? This is so weird. This is measuring eyebrow height and shit. This is some weird racist study, Charlie, you idiot. What? It's looking at Singaporean Chinese. It's looking, none of those. She's got Malaysian Chinese, she's got Singaporean Chinese, and she's not looking at Chinese there either. What is this? $15 viewers at 2 a.m. Decent. Last few streams have picked up again, haven't they? We've been averaging above 10 again for the last few streams, which has been nice. I just enjoy it because I like having all of you guys to chat to, and it's just more fun for me with the chat. Honestly, like I don't even mind when there's just 4 or 5 of you as long as everyone's chatting. But it's just I get more chat from you when there's more. Why did she upload just like the most miserable and depressed photo on earth from 3 years ago? I'm guessing that's the photo she used to get with MancPete or something. She is. We're going to be looking at phrenology next. I swear, this is bell curve shit, mate. This is literally. I think we should. I think there's the. I know there's the bell curves are paper, but I think there's a video. There's some good videos about the bell curve out there, to be honest, that we should watch. Because people can explain it better than I can, that's for sure. To engage with the accounts, it's literally the same person. So I don't want to see what they're saying. It's unhinged rambling. Don't send me stuff. Just block and ignore. And jump into the DMs of anyone that criticizes you. Thank you, Ari. Full and last response to my docs. I'll be posting this community tab when I'm ready to make videos again. I'll be posting my community tab when I'm ready to make videos again, but she's not ready. She said she isn't ready to make videos. I'm so confused. These are from days ago, right? And then there's the MancPete shit, which she's retweeting, which is hilarious. I need to comment on that. Right. Right. What are we saying? Your defense against this shit is to use ableist, homophobic slurs and call your is to use ableist, homophobic slurs and call anyone that has an issue with you a troll. Fascinating. Don't want to get involved, but the source is referring to Mongolian and some other Asians. It's a really bullshit study. I think it doesn't look like a very good study at all, but she doesn't get her research from she doesn't know how to do sort of metatextual research. She can only look at a text. She can't look at texts around it. She will just find a study, a thing, and cherry pick. That's why I really appreciate having you guys about, because I have made that mistake a bit in the past, and you guys prevent me from doing that so often. Like the second I'll look at a study triple, and Clary will be like, yeah, but, and then we'll find me 10 more. It's useful. You guys are my mega brain. Oh, I love this defense even more now. Wait, she's complaining about getting doxxed, blah, blah, blah. By the way, this is just around the corner to where I live. Oh my God. People are doxing me, by the way. Have a look at where I live, which definitely couldn't be matched up to somewhere on Google Street View by somebody actually obsessive and crazy. Definitely something that people have done. She's actually making the argument that she's Chinese because not all Chinese people have double eyelid. Yes. And then she's using sourced material talking about Mongolian Chinese, Singaporean Chinese, mixed Malaysian Chinese, and not talking about Chinese people specifically either. It's very fascinating. Yes, I love it. It's not up to creators to babysit and micromanage other people's kids. Oh, here we go. Having an 18 plus. Oh, wow. Having an 18 plus NSFW Discord server is not grooming or enabling grooming. It is dedicated space specifically for adults. If a child enters a space that is explicitly not for them and was not advertised to them and warns against them being there, that is by definition not grooming. It isn't targeting children nor making the channel of content with children in mind. Why can she She keeps doing like these really important a thread, you know, and every single one of her big, well thought out threads is so poorly written it hurts me. Sexual grooming via communication, then does her thing of cherry picking a single paragraph from Wikipedia yet fucking again. If a child enters a space that is explicitly not intended for them and was made clear it's not for them, this is up to the parents/guardians to efficiently micromanage their child's online activity. If we ban things like Discord servers and channels or even websites for having adult content, then we start the slippery... She's literally making... I don't think I've ever seen somebody make a slippery slope argument and actually say in the argument they're making the slippery slope argument. Having adult content, then we start the slippery slope of kiddie-proofing the internet. Help! Help me! Help! Help! Help me! Help me! Help! This is too dumb. This is too dumb. This is too dumb. I can't. If we ban things like Discord server channels, even websites for having adult content, then we start the slippery slope of kiddie-proofing the internet. How are sex workers, who you've always stood for, Cringey, and adult workers supposed to make a living, especially in the times of COVID, if we are constantly policing what is posted on platforms intended for adults? The Kaifeng aren't actually Jewish. Fucking Israel doesn't think they're actually Jewish. The Kaifeng didn't exist 200 years ago. There's no anthropological, archaeological, or evidence, full stop, of any kind that the Kaifeng existed.
Wow.
That the Kaifeng existed more than 200 years ago. It doesn't exist. They came about during the opium trade, not from this Silk Road trade story that she loves to espouse. That's just bullshit. That's been debunked by Israeli scholars in Israel. And even if there were any truth to it, why does it fucking matter? Why do you want it? Why are you so desperate for birthright? Birthright is bad. This has broken my brain. I knew she wasn't smart, but I didn't think she was this dumb. I don't care if he marks himself as a not kid channel. My channel isn't for kids. Still don't run a porn channel. Porn board. Be weird. I've discussed starting an OnlyFans, to be fair, quite a few times. I've not done it at the end, but if I were to do it, you know where it'd be. OnlyFans, where you cannot, there are so many checks and balances in place to prevent minors accessing that content. You can't do that on a Discord. You literally can't. It also wouldn't be for sharing porn, sharing fetish and perversion. It's you put that on a porn forum. We're not. They keep talking about it like it's just an 18 plus NSFW board. She keeps saying having an 18 plus NSFW Discord. Mine is an 18 plus NSFW Discord. We swear, we share adult topics, we talk about adult things, we talk about current politics, stuff that is not safe for work. You don't talk about politics at work. You don't talk about trauma at work. You don't talk about mental illness at work. All that shit is NSFW and 18 plus. I don't want to talk about any of that shit with children. That's not what we're talking about, Cringey. We're talking about the fact that on his Discord, all Discords are 18 plus Discords, but on his Discord, that Discord even know that they can't moderate, stop kids from getting in there. And on his Discord, there's porn channels. There's literal porn channels. I'm kind of loving Debs' idea. Oh my God, brain. I'm kind of loving Debs' idea of like doing actual adult erotica readings. I think that could be quite a funny thing to do. Or, as I've also said in the past, just using it like a Patreon, honestly, to just have like an actual area where like I won't have to moderate it at the end of the day, probably, because I'd like set it at a cost that would still be affordable, but also would prevent actual just like trolls from joining it. Like, you know, if there's a tenner a month or something, you know, that's just that bit more. Although I can still do that on Twitch as well. I've said this before, I can just on Twitch do the occasional sub-only chat mode. It's just sad because some of you non-subbers I do like talking to. But then you'll just have to sub. More inspiration to actually go ahead and sub. She is claiming to be Chinese, Caucasian, Jewish, something, God knows what. I don't know what she's claiming. It's so weird. This is the point. She's so vague with her claim. It's so... This is so dumb. So I want to see what I didn't read this. In April 2017, sexual communication with a child was made an offence. Groomers who target children through the use of a mobile phone, social media, emails, or letters to communicate with them sexually or with the intention of eliciting a sexual response. Did she read this before posting it? If a child enters a space that is explicitly not for them and was not advertised to them and warns against them being there, that is by definition not grooming. It doesn't say that there. It doesn't say that. It's literally just, if you... Sexual grooming via communication is just the act of talking with children through the use of any phone, social media, email, letter, any kind of communication with minors that is of a sexual nature. Anything where the intention is eliciting a sexual response. Groomy and Groomy Pete, Manky Manchester Perv Scum Pete, and Cringy Groomy Cringe. Are you dumb? You just posted proof that actually what he's doing is legally considered grooming. He has a porn sharing area where they're obviously, when you're sharing porn with each other, you're doing that to share some kind of and elicit some kind of sexual response. Why else would you share porn with somebody if not to give them elicit a sexual response in them? And he has no way of knowing if there are children in there. Oh my fucking God. Did you read this? It proves my point completely. I have to reply. You realise this completely proves my point. Did you actually read it, or do words just not mean anything to you? Yes, you homophobic ableist prick. Well, no, it's because you use them in a derogatory manner. No. No, it's because you use them in a disgusting and derogatory manner, you homophobic ableist prick. Do you think she's hiding behind the targets? Targeting can be very loose, is the point. Targeting can just be considered having a Discord with a porn thing where you're not a professional with oversights in place to age verify. That could be considered targeting the dumbass prick. Or she's the dumbass prick in this case. This is phenomenal. It's not. This isn't how this works. They're really dumb. A few of us in here have actually done safeguarding courses. These people are dumb. / very lucky nothing bad has happened to them yet because of this, honestly. This kind of mindset isn't healthy. It's dangerous. I'm trembling. I didn't think people could be this dumb and gross. It's shocking. What a mindfuck. Oh my god, she's offline already. I swear Evangelina literally streams for no time. Or is she streaming on YouTube or something? She's streaming elsewhere. Must be streaming elsewhere. Honored to go Raider. Oh. It's the enabling and the creation of an area. He's really dumb. You have to be in the server to report them. It's what makes it kind of tricky, and people will just... All the people saying that I'm grooming people because I have a NSFW adults Discord only where we share porn. They're just part of the gay ops. Because they're disingenuous liars. Gay. Those gay, disingenuous liars. He doesn't think that. He's like, what? Because I said gay ops. He's actually such a fuckwit. You know, I kept saying to you guys earlier, he is actually just dumb. There are some people out there. You know, I've discussed this a lot. A lot of people who think they're dumb are still way above the average. But the average and below, those are muddy waters. New cringy video? trip. God's work, please. Forgot she had the Chinese flag in her status all along. I really forgot that. She spent 23 to 24 years hiding herself. Won't be going back to it. How long has she been alive to spend 24 years doing something?
The nature of human evil is an ongoing mystery, pondered by philosophers and psychologists alike. What
happened to our collaboration, eh? God, do we just have to stare? It's just gonna be this fucking. At least she's gone for a black background instead of a bright white background this time.
What is evil? Why does it exist? And even more puzzlingly, why does evil sometimes occur on a mass scale?
I don't know, this feels pretty targeted.
Evil refers to something that is profoundly immoral and wicked, a personal act that is the direct opposite of good. Morality is subjective. What is considered right or wrong depends on time.
Alright, I've literally never clicked on her page before and seen that before. Oh my god. 3 weeks ago, that's why. Why did she 3 weeks ago decided to upload a really shit dissociated intro video? Why is that so bad? It's so badly edited and such low quality, and why is she using the dissociated music? And the Chinese instruments, I know, but it's also like the dissociated thing. It's like, it is more Chinesey than dissociated, which was a little bit more like sitar-y and Indian-y, but that is heckin' Chinesey. That is cringy.
Time, place, and individual values. Socrates stated, there is but one evil, ignorance, and there is one good, knowledge.
I love a bit of Socrates!
One must be educated in right and wrong to understand it, which is why countries now have laws that explicitly state what
one must one.
is right and wrong, and societal norms taught from birth that relay the same message. Laws and attitudes adapt and change, meaning acts that may have been normalized in years past are now seen as atrocities and examples of evil. In World War II, what constituted evil was given a whole new context. Not only were losses greater, 75 million compared to 20 million in World War I,
editing!
But the revelation of widespread depravity reached the
Pardon, the what?
20 million in World War I, but the revelation...
She edited it a second ago because of a mistake, but I guess she doesn't know what a revelation is. I like that YouTube, the subtitles get the word right even if she gets it wrong.
75 million compared to 20 million in World War I, but the revelation of widespread depravity reached the public. 1941 to 1940.
I don't think I've ever heard it said that way, the revelation. It's almost cute, that. Oh, the revelation. I used to say criminals. I didn't know. When I was like 7 years old, I used to say crinimals. Used to get the N and the M backwards on that. I've never heard relevation. That's a new one. I like it. Oh, how you doing, Ossifer? I'm all good. I just had a bit of a relevation tonight. I've not been on the sauce at all. No way, Ossifer.
45, Germany was engulfed in a structured, mechanical regime. This regime aimed to rebuild the world using unthinkable methods, while culture wild mandated bigotry engulfed in the public. 1941 to 1945, Germany was engulfed in a structured, mechanical regime. This regime aimed to rebuild the world using unthinkable methods, while culture wild mandated bigotry, unethical experiments to force labour, and calculated elimination of entire groups were not new concepts that had never been conducted on such a massive scale. During this period, 50% of the world's Jewish population was wiped out. In comparison, this was about 60% of the Jewish population of Europe. Groups such as the disabled, other racial/ethnic minorities, and political dissenters were also targeted.
Why was she so like happy towards? I really don't like how she talks about Germany in the 1940s, like the Germany, they were just this structured mechanical machine. They're just organized. They were just these organized, overly organized people in Germany in 1941 to 1945. The way she talks about the Holocaust is so strange to me. So strange.
The vast majority of these people were civilians, taken from their homes and transported to camps. An estimated 11 million would be lost during this time. A few years earlier, in December 1937, another case of brutality took place in Nanjing, the former capital of
She's got the number wrong as well. Yeah, 60% in total. 60% in Europe. No, this. Yeah. There were areas it was higher. Oh no, here we go. Yeah. Places like Czechoslovakia, Greece, Lithuania. When I talk about Lithuania, that's where my ancestors were. 85% of us murdered. Poland, 90% murdered. Slovakia, 83% of the Jews murdered. Yugoslavia, 82% of the Jews murdered. Latvia, 75% of the Jews murdered. Greece, 91% of the Jews murdered. Like, it's wrong to look at the populations of Jews that were killed across Europe as a whole, because that's not necessarily, whilst yes, all of Europe engaged in the war, not all of Europe was invaded by Germany. We look at the countries where Germany invaded to look at the pre-war Jewish populations and the post-war Jewish populations. That's where we're meant to look, Cringey. Doesn't really matter for a country like Italy. The Jews all got out basically successfully before the murders went down. Finland, Finland affects the European statistics. When you look at statistics and you say 60% of the Jews in European were murdered, and you're like, oh, so 40% survived. But that's because those statistics are skewed by places like Finland, where none of them died. Which is why when we talk about the genocide of the Jews, we're typically talking about Ashkenazi Jews, and we're talking about the Polish, the Czechoslovakian, Lithuanian, Greek, Yugoslavian. You know, there are countries in Europe, England, 3 fucking Jews died during the fucking Holocaust in England, apparently. You know, but those statistics skew it when you averages and statistics need to be used carefully, is what I'm trying to say. Exactly. Yeah, and then I'd agree with that you two there as well. Like, I'd totally agree with you there. You compare it to the genocide of indigenous Native Americans. You compare it to the genocide of South American indigenous Americans. You compare it to the Tutsi, the Rwandan genocide with the Hutus and the Tutsis. I'm getting the name wrong there somehow. There have been far more horrific genocides, certainly. We look at the genocide taking place on peoples currently, the Rohingya, who live in well, they're not being genocided, but affected. They're having a cultural genocide where their way of life has been taken from them completely, 100%, with maybe 5% of them living in refugee camps who have survived or something. It's brutal. Yeah, but that's why it's important to look at specific countries, because then where you look at Poland, the Polish Jews, the Polish people as well, something like 40% of the population of Poland was decimated, but the Polish Jewish population is what was decimated. Actually annihilated. You look at the Lithuanian Jews, they were fucking annihilated. And the thing with the Lithuanian Jews, right, that's 85% of the remaining Lithuanian Jews were killed through the Holocaust and World War II. But prior to that, extermination attempts had already been attempted against them, resulting in 70% of the Lithuanian Ashkenazi Jews being killed off already. Okay? So that is the other thing that has to be contextually understood. There had actually been prior genocidal events committed against the Jews in Eastern Europe in those previous 10 years. It's why I often say World War II did not start when the British say it started. That would be like saying World War II started when the Americans joined. World War II started at different times for different people. We just have our dates here in our countries, but they have different dates for it in different countries. It's interesting shit.
During this time. A few years earlier, in December 1937, another case of brutality took place in Nanjing, the former capital of China, then known as Nanking. Japanese forces marched on the city and wreaked havoc. Approximately 15,000 male prisoners and 50,000 male civilians' lives were ended. At least 20,000 women and girls of all ages were essayed. Abu Ghraib, Iraq. US forces took over the prison and arrested civilians, reportedly to gain intel regarding Al-Qaeda. In 2004, it was exposed that the inmates were subjected to harsh and inhumane treatment, acts that were all photographed and videoed by US personnel. All 3 cases are considered to be examples of evil, and there are numerous throughout history, from small-scale atrocities to widespread colonization. The perpetrators in most of these cases also happen to have been normal, unassuming human beings who otherwise would not stand out in public whatsoever. Taking away the theistic view of devils, spirits, and supernatural forces that influence human beings, because it cannot be proven, the answers psychologically are obedience, power, and dehumanization. 1961, Yale University. Psychologist Stanley Milgram asked the very same question inspired by the first case, the atrocities of World War II. He began an obedience study. Were these people simply following orders in World War II, as many claim? Male participants were recruited through ads in newspapers, and many of them were students, average, everyday human beings that you would walk past in the street. They were told that they would participate in a learning experiment. There was one learner and one teacher, but this was fixed so that the participant would always be the teacher, whereas the learner would be played by an actor who was in on the experiment. The teacher has to name a word and the learner chooses from a list of 4. If the learner picked the wrong word, the teacher would administer an electric shock for each wrong answer. The electric shocks would start from 15 volts to a lethal 450 volts, and the teacher would have to increase the voltage with each wrong answer. Of course, the learner was a plant and an actor and would pretend to be shocked. If the teacher decided that they didn't want to continue with the experiment, there were 4 prompts given by a present researcher. The first would be, please continue. The second, the experiment requires you to continue. The third, it is absolutely essential that you continue.
Sorry, I zoned out for a second there and I was just like, wait, is she talking about the Stanford prison experiment? I swear every psychology, you can't call. I love that she's not drama or commentary, that she's psychology. She's a psychology channel. I swear to God, every fucking channel on earth has spoken about the fucking Stanford prison experiment. We all know about it, Cringey. Move on.
And finally, you have no other choice but to continue. The results demonstrated that 65% of the participants would continue to the highest voltage of 450, and 100% of them went to 3.
So Urs replies, gay ops refers to dumbass gotchas. It's a thing. Look it up. The term spurge refers to individuals who bullheadedly force their way through their own narrative in the face of either proof against it or the knowledge that no one cares. No. I've only seen that word used on Kiwi Farms. You defending a homophobic slur and an ableist slur because you like using them is patently hilarious. There you go. They love using fancy words. There's a fancy word for them, patently. Everyone uses blatantly these days, but patently is actually a better word in many tenses than blatantly. It means openly, obviously, or clearly, in case anyone wonders, which is why we patent things to make them open, obvious, and clear. A patent must be an open, obvious, and clear design detail, right? Generally speaking. So there's a fun word for you all. Patently instead of blatantly next time you want to up your English a bit. Or obviously, or, clearly. I invite you to rewatch this video and tell me if my use of the term spurge and gay ops are offensive. The video this is a reply to, by the way, obviously. He doesn't... Oh my God. I'm just going to screenshot what happens when you type in gay ops. There you go. Oh, God. Why is it viewing like this? I don't need pictures. I need a list. And then I can just find the screenshot. Just Googled You sicken me. Make me feel sick. He's trying the, I'm not being offensive. You are just a snowflake. You're stupid, you snowflakes. You're all stupid snowflakes. And it's just really gross. He's so dumb. It's actually so gross. I can't even click on any of those links. I literally feel uncomfortable clicking on any of those fucking links. And go fucked. Let's see some mass evil. How would you feel in full bulletproof armor pointing a gun at children, girls, and mothers? Real tough guys, aren't they? That's what group evil looks like. Adults bullying children with guns. Mobs of Israelis have been hunting down and attacking Palestinians. Tel Aviv suburb, a Palestinian was physically dragged out of his car by a mob. Beaten unconscious. Men in uniforms forced their way into a Palestinian home in Haifa. And attacked an unarmed man. The men, thought to be Israeli police, as you can see, carry batons. Another incident in Haifa, Israelis carrying sticks. Try and break into Palestinians' homes just to drag. This was only 5 months ago, when after the IDF attacked innocent Muslims on one of the most sacred days of the calendar for them, of the year for them, engaged in their very own version of what's that fucking film series now, where the government's like, right, for one day everyone can go murder, except it was right, now you can just go murder Palestinians. Mobs were organising on social media to find Palestinians, hunt them down, and kill them and beat them, and rape their families. All sorts of shit happened that we'll never find out about. They were young settlers from the occupied West Bank, the Purge. Young Israelis, young settlers. Do you know what settlers are? People like me. People with birthright who have moved to Israel, enjoy their cushy life there, at the expense of blood sport against innocent Palestinians. That's all it costs. occasional mass inhumanity. I just think she kept bringing up these like really ancient examples, and she obviously likes Jews and stuff, but she didn't really. Well, she also painted Hitler in a weirdly good light. She didn't actually, she just talked about Germany's organized regime in the 1940s. She didn't actually say anything about like the Nazi, right? She didn't even use the word Nazi. That was so surreal how she talked about it. I just think we should know what forms of mass inhumanity have literally been occurring this year. And the public security minister defended the mobs. Even if there are things the public does not yet know, law-abiding citizens carrying weapons are a force multiplier in the hands of the authorities for immediate neutralization of threat and danger. Yeah, this is again 6 months ago. Palestinians were saying that the Israelis were yielding their land, their homes to right-wing Israelis, and now that's not just alleged. That is something we have seen come to fruition. I think in around 20 or so total families, homes, people were just evicted to make way for settlers.
Violent.
Sorry, we're not done yet. This is what happened. They were at mosque for prayer. Imagine being at mosque for prayer and suddenly police throw flashbangs and shock grenades at you. And then the IDF broke in to the prayer hall. A hall of prayer and worship. Sterling, the Israeli government don't sound like your politicians. Your politicians are inspired by Netanyahu and his party's rhetoric. Netanyahu's finally been booted, but they just have a very similar despot in place now. But Netanyahu has been in power for 16, 20 years, I think. 22 years, something like that. Your rhetoric in the US, your right-wing rhetoric, is entirely inspired by people like Netanyahu. Is one of the greatest dictators ever. He's all the beliefs of a Donald Trump or a Vladimir Putin, but born and raised with an American top-tier education to be the leader of Israel. Wrap your head around that. He was effectively like Kim Jong-un, an effective despot. So after that happened, the Palestinians started protesting the evictions of their people that had been occurring. They were like, yeah, we need to fight back. So they fight back with rocks and petrol bombs, Molotov cocktails, rocks, and maybe one AK-47 shared amongst 50 people. They don't have guns and weapons. They've become a very capable people. They're known to be able to make missiles out of plastic bottles and plastic plumbing tubing. But that's still not really an effective weapon against Iron Dome, as we shall see. Again, the police are so unintimidated by their rocks that at first they can disperse crowds. They can disperse several hundred people, protesters, with their water cannons. That's how unequipped the people they're fighting are. Never ever let people make you think there might be two sides. Always remember there is one side, and one side being genocided upon. These protesters were by the homes of Palestinian families facing potential that had been told they were being evicted, and they were there to prevent the IDF from evicting them. These are, again, families that eventually got evicted. I know that for a fact. Because, again, for every one of me that goes over there, they have to make a home. They don't need to build homes when there are so many homes already built, just infested with these dirty rats. That is the rhetoric, the language they use. They say that their homes are infested by dirty rats. The same language that Hitler and pre-war Winston Churchill used to describe the Jews. The police, instead of using live ammo, were using rubber-coated metal bullets. Rubber-coated VBs. What do a bunch of unarmed men at prayer do against the ID fucking F? This was this year. This was less than 6 months ago. What's the date today? Oh, it's just gone 6 months that this was happening, guys. Less than half a fucking year. And I feel like people have already begun forgetting about it. I've been meaning to talk about it properly for a little while, so I'm sorry we're going to go on for a little bit longer, because I have been meaning to bring this stuff up, and this is sort of perfect timing, you know what I mean? I know I probably bring up Israel once a month. Deal with it. Because the Palestinians have to. So if you abate your eyes, I'll be disappointed. You're forgiven, Mooney. You're forgiven. You can sleep. Of course you can sleep, though. You can pass out. That's forgiven. Free Palestine. Motherfucking free Palestine. Mooney, you pass out. You motherfucking pass out. You've already been here, to be fair, for many of the Palestine streams you know you've learned more about it in these past few months than you would have otherwise, and you're doing good work there. So you're given forgiveness to pass out. Okay, this is for people who want to avert their eyes because it's upsetting. I'm sorry, you don't. You do get to, but sometimes I don't think, as I was saying yesterday, I just don't always think we should. When we're not actually watching people die or anything, it's fine, innit? So no, really. I love you, dude. Let's listen to the press, the journalists pleading. How does this have 874 views? How has this only got 874 views? This is what remains of the Associated Press building, owned by Al Jazeera after Israel bombed it. This is minutes before that. Imagine being given a whole hour to evacuate a building with more than 100 journalists and all their work in there. And again, these journalists live there. It's not just their work, they live there. Right? The building was used to house them and home them as well when journalists are in this war-torn area. A place where there was a agreement by all sides that is a place of sanctity, a place of no fire. What does happen to the evicted people, Clary? They go to the Gaza Strip. That's the only place they can go. They end up living in a building that they'll build for themselves that will get bombed a week later, and then they'll live in a tent, and then they'll live in a sewer, and then they'll live in a building that they've built for themselves, and then it'll get bombed a week later, and the cycle will continue, and they'll never escape the Gaza Strip. Once you've lost your place in the land of Palestine and you've been put in the Gaza Strip, that's it. That's all there is to life then. That's where you are then. You're behind a 30-foot concrete wall with no gaps in it that descends 15 foot below ground to prevent people tunneling under, and is patrolled, manned and armed by the strongest military force in the world. There's no way through that wall. And you're in Gaza, and in Gaza there's more than 300 checkpoints that the Palestinians have to cross, and at any one of those checkpoints you may be murdered. That's what happens. You can spend your life in fear of eviction and getting beaten, but at least maybe have a job and have a house. Or you can live in the world's largest refugee camp, a country that is a refugee camp, that gets attacked, bombed, sodomized, raped, brutalized on a daily basis. A country that has no access to any water supply, and Israel at times just cuts off their water supply for funsies to make the people there die more. They keep them there alive because it would be a bad look for them, if they literally just killed them all by cutting off the water forever. But they do cut the water off for days at a time. They just can't do it for weeks at a time because that would pick up too much international attention. But they will cut off the water to the Gaza Strip for weeks at a time, and electricity, but water more importantly for days at a time. For days at a time. They'd love to do it for weeks, but they would do it for days at a time. They went something like 72 hours recently without water because Israel just decided to, because they can. Imagine living in one of the hottest, driest countries that has no food and is constantly getting bombed and has no shelter, and you have no water for 3 days. It's very effective population control they have. There was zero evidence of there being a Hamas base there. Zero evidence.
Almost all the media offices are in this tower, along with Al Jawhara Tower, which was directly targeted yesterday. As you can hear now, the raids are
She is a badass.
Directly targeted yesterday. As you can hear now, the raids are directly targeting the tower.
War journalists are just another breed of human.
Just a while ago as well. I'm sorry again.
Oh, our team, it was, oh, we've just found out another strike is happening very close to us. We should probably move soon.
Oh my God, yes, I need to go down.
This bit of footage is still some of the most surreal footage I think I've ever seen in my life. And again, this man is such a badass. None of us here will ever be as badass as this person. This man, when he's pooping, is more badass than we are. This man, when he's putting on his socks, is more badass than we are. This man, when he breathes, every breath he takes is more badass than anything I've ever done in my life.
ربما استمعتم إلى هذه الغارة في المبنى الذي يظهر الآن في الصورة وهو تم يعني إبلاغ يعني أحد.
That, by the way, was the warning. It's like a targeting strike. So the warning had already come in. The building had already been evacuated at this point. But so first they shoot a targeting strike to make sure they've got their aim right, which is, again, a very big missile in the first place. And then they shoot the real missile. And this is shot by F-15 fighter jets that we, in our military, sell to Israel. We produce the world's finest fighter jets here in this country still. And we sell them to Israel along with our missiles. And what you're about to see is, you can't even hear the jet. You know, the jet will have been gone by the time the missile strikes. These things move at like Mach 6 and are flying thousands of meters above. So they just come along and drop pinpoint precise missile. So that was the targeting shot, and then comes the one with the real shot. Get ready.
عدنان، هل أنت بخير؟ إذا كنت معرض لخطر يمكن أن تذهب الآن، لأن أنا أرى القصف يعني في مواجهة المكان مباشرة.
16
تحذيرية.
معبود المبنى نزل.
عدنان،
تم تدمير المبنى بالكامل.
نعم.
الصوت يا محمود راح.
The fucking guy is back at the studio being like, Adnan, you have to get out of there. Adnan, you're not safe. Adnan, please go. And he's like, it's okay. The building behind me just got shot down.
نعم، أتمنى أن تكون.
Are you all right? There seems to be warning shots, and now they're not warning shots, they were tracker shots.
بخير عدنان، فعلا يبدو.
They already did, well, they were warning shots too, and they'd already done warnings as well. It's just...
كان هناك طلقات تحذيرية وقصف. أتمنى أن تكون بخير عدنان، فعلا يبدو أن كان هناك طلقات تحذيرية وقصف المبنى بالكامل. إذن قصف إسرائيلي في قطاع غزة لبرج الشروق كما أفاد مراسلنا قبل قليل.
Gunshots, and that sound that we just heard is the life of everyone in Palestine. That sound.
عدنان،
تم تدمير المبنى بالكامل.
نعم.
الصوت يا محمود راح.
نعم أتمنى أن تكون بخير عدنان. فعلا يبدو أن يكون هناك طلقات تحذيرية وقصف المبنى بالكامل. إذا
Imagine living with that sound every day. Every day. First you hear the warning shot bang, and you know that means a building near you is about to go down, and you pray it doesn't hit you. And then we remember this is what Israel have to defend themselves with. Russian warning on this. And this is how you keep your populace in fear. This is how you keep a population terrified and angry against a group of people. You make them think that this sort of retaliation is necessary. We're saving your lives with this overwhelming display of force. Be grateful to the Iron Dome. Pray to the Iron Dome. Because the Iron Dome will purposefully let through a good 5% of the missiles that get launched at it. Only 1% of those missiles that are let through will have targets that might actually affect anyone. The military is so perfect at making sure that Israelis don't get killed by the missiles that get through. They always bomb empty buildings and stuff the buildings that get through. But just enough each year will kill some innocent Israelis. So they need the Iron Dome. Even though the Iron Dome could be a perfect system and stop anyone from dying. Maybe they just wouldn't need the Iron Dome if they weren't evicting people from their homes and brutalizing, sodomizing, and raping a nation. It's just a thought. It's just a thought, isn't it?
We begin in the Middle East.
It's just a tiny little thought. You know? Just having this go off all the time. Bombs just in your home. We can't imagine this life not accurately. Really not accurately. Anyway, that's the human atrocity and mass group. Oh no. One last.
Different other than the way
to be Islam. If you're not Islam, they will kill you.
A lot of Americans don't really understand what Israel's like. We hear a lot of things in the news. A lot of people are sympathizing with the Palestinian plight. Can you talk about what it's like to kind of live in this situation?
By the way, this filming was done the night after one of those Iron Dome protection raids. This is how scared the Israelis are. You see how scared they are? They're really living in fear.
First of all, it's very hard. I'm in an organization. It's called Lahava. It's against the Jews shouldn't marry Arabs.
Did you say the organization did what again?
The organization is, the thing of it is that Jews shouldn't marry Arabs.
Shouldn't.
And Lava is a government-supported organisation. Where's my favourite? There's just some Americans in this there, just living their best Israeli-American life, and it's just so terrifying. They're truly twisted and demented, these people, the opinions they hold. It gets sicker and
will be
sicker.
here. They will kill them 2 days. They don't care.
It's war, and civilians get killed in war, and
2 days, they will kill all of them. If the American will be here, they will kill them 2 days. They don't care about human rights. They don't care about nothing.
Israel's holding back.
Very, very.
But it's war, and civilians get killed in war, and it's a horrible, on their side, less on our side, but at the same time, we put money into protecting ourselves.
Well, look.
More civilians get killed on their side, less on our side, because we put the money into protecting ourselves, and they're just lazy Palestinians who just don't put the money into protecting their people. Such a lovely argument, isn't it?
The refugees, their situation is horrible, but no other nation in the world gets the refugee status that Palestinians do. The Palestinians, third-generation people, are still considered refugees.
I had friends that were Canadian. They went on their passports.
Dude, you're Jewish. What are you saying?
They wanted to see what the refugee camps were. They wanted to see what it was all about. They came back. They said it's nothing what I imagined it.
Better than they imagined? Or?
They said people were driving around with nice cars. People had nice houses, villas, things like that. They thought people were being oppressed, like living in tents. It was like they probably were, like maybe 10, 15, 20 years ago, like in the past.
They all have nice cars in the refugee camps now, guys.
For them, in order for them to be Zionist and moral, in order for them to have a Jewish and democratic state, they needed, first of all and foremost, to create a Jewish majority by force, by driving away the indigenous people from their land. And this is how the state was founded. And immediately afterwards, they created a whole legal system that will make sure that those who have been expelled will never be allowed back, and those who remained on their land, because not everyone was expelled, will never be equal citizens. Unfortunately, what we hear on mainstream media, this so-called discourse or so-called debate between the right and the left is about that. It's about, do we want a large Israel, which is Arab-free, or do we want a small Israel, which is Arab-free? This is the debate that's taking place.
Last question. There's this whole international movement of leftists and activists who want to boycott Israel for human rights violations. Being here, seeing that, and what do you just think about that?
I think the BDS movement, the leaders of the BDS movement, or everyone that thinks that Israel is bad, if they should read up about the topic, the other side, and they should come here and see how everybody's comfortable.
People right now,
just come to Israel, see how happy all the white people are and how comfortable they are, and you won't be able to think they're bad.
Looking at Israel and they're calling it an apartheid state, and Israel is not an apartheid state. There's places, my family from 5 generations ago, they were from Jenin. You can't find one Jew in Jenin right now. It's totally Jew-free. So if you want to think about a racist apartheid state, it seems it's more, in my opinion, coming from their side.
And just a response, I guess, to kind of this international movement, the BDS movement, and also the movement that says settlements are illegal, they're encroaching on Palestinian land. Can you respond to that accusation?
I think the response would be two-part. The first part would be very simple. Nobody gives Turkey problems for their settlements in Cyprus. It's an anti-Semitic thing. Maybe they don't
Turkey has settlements in Cyprus. What?
know that they hate Jews, but they give us so much trouble. The UN only talks about Israel. What about North Korea? What about Russia? Then the second thing would be to say is that
even from the UN?
Wow.
Completely from the UN. I mean, come on. You're talking about that we're worse than the North Korean dictatorship? Like, nobody in the world thinks that. So those people in the UN and all these peace activists, look, she's a woman. She's walking around however she wants here in Israel, right? There's female genital mutilation in Egypt, not very far from here. Why don't people talk about that?
I think that,
It's not state sponsored.
should have not more rights. I think
we have rights to build more houses for our citizens. And like a lot of things that Israel gets criticism for, other countries will never get it.
We Israelis, we need more rights.
אני רוצה להגיד פה לראש ממשלה פה בארץ, בישראל, אין מצב שיהיה פה שלום בארץ. אי אפשר לעשות איתם שלום, הם תמיד שונאים אותנו. אם אי אפשר
Oh, they will always hate us. We can't have peace because they will always hate us.
לעשות שלום והמצב ככה לא
So if you can't have peace and the situation can't carry on like
יכול
this,
להישאר. אז צריך
then we need to handle them in other ways. There's no other choice.
לטפל בהם בדרכים אחרות, אין מה לעשות.
They literally just want to kill the Palestinians. It's literally where they've reached there. It's amazing. It's completely insane. It's completely insane. There's a good one on this.
Many people think of Israel and Palestine as two countries at war, with this one, a state for Jewish people, occupying this one here, where Palestinians live. The truth is, both Israeli Jews and Palestinians live all over this territory, ruled by one government and one army, based on the idea of
advancing the supremacy and domination of one group of people, Jews.
And that is what guides its policies and its practices towards Palestinians.
In other words, apartheid. Apartheid is a loaded word tied to the racist South African regime of white minority rule. But although the word...
Again, this is why I care so much about this, and I had an argument with my very own mother about this, the fact that the Palestinians live in an apartheid state. I was very upset that my South African mother, who fought against apartheid in South Africa, didn't understand that. But that's what happens when you have Jewish family. Shit gets complex.
Comes from there, apartheid isn't just a description of what happened in South Africa. It's actually a crime against humanity under international law. In 2021, Human Rights Watch accused Israel of carrying out apartheid. It based this accusation on the 1973 Apartheid Convention and the 1998 Rome Statute, which say that 3 elements have to occur for the crime of apartheid to apply. They are an intent by one group to dominate the other, systematic oppression by one racial group over another, and one or more inhumane acts, like denying people the right to leave and to return to their country, expropriation of landed property, and the creation of separate reserves and ghettos. So let's see if any of these apply to Israel's rule over Palestinians.
About half of the people that live here under Israel's rule.
That's this map you see here is the real sad truth. This is the real sad truth. All that blue land you see is what was legally given through purchase of land. Brits and Jews purchasing land from Palestinians to give themselves a new Israel in Tel Aviv. And then you see this swath of blue expand until all of the Palestinian area is this, the Gaza Strip. And this, which is not good.
Rule over Palestinians.
About half of the people that live here under Israel's rule are Palestinian, and the other half are Jews, like myself.
For those 7 million Israeli Jews, almost the entire land is one space. Whether they're here, or here, they have the same rights, privileges, and legal status. They can move freely, vote in the same elections, and live under the same laws. The boundaries are invisible to them. But for the 7 million Palestinians, the boundaries are very visible. Whereas
you see the land difference, right? This is all meant to be freely shared. Yeah. But that's where the 7 million Palestinians are. That's where the 7 million Jews are. All right. Except they legally share the country, according to the UN and Israel as well. Just Palestinians are legally second-class citizens. If you are brown, you legally have to have a different coloured license plate on your car.
this is essentially one space for Israelis, Palestinians have been divided into 4 areas, Each area gets a different colored ID card issued by Israel, and your life and rights are determined by that ID card. In Gaza, Palestinians have no freedom of movement and are under a complete Israeli blockade. Israel no longer has soldiers inside Gaza, but it controls every aspect of life from the outside. People in Gaza have no civil or political rights. They've got no say in the Israeli government that controls them. Palestinians in the West Bank also have very limited freedom of movement, with their population divided into 165 disconnected cantons, cut off by Israeli military checkpoints, walls.
165 separated ghettos. Can you wrap your head around that?
Settlements, and other infrastructure. They also have no civil or political rights in Israel. In East Jerusalem, Palestinians generally have more freedom to move, but Israel can take away their right to live in the city.
These are the ones we see getting evicted.
They can't vote in Israeli elections, and Israel also bars them from taking part in Palestinian politics. Palestinians who are citizens of Israel can travel relatively freely, but they face restrictions on where they can live. They can vote in
The other ones we see getting evicted.
Israeli elections, but face legalized discrimination. Yara Hawari is a Palestinian with Israeli.
And it's those ones that were getting dragged from their homes and beaten. It's those Israeli Palestinians that we saw getting dragged out of their cars and beaten.
Citizenship.
This ID system, it penetrates, all areas of life, where you live, where you study, what you work, etc. Even the more intimate areas of life, such as who you marry.
That's because for the most part, a Palestinian can't pass on their ID status to their spouse.
And this has huge implications on where they can live.
So it's not just that they can't marry Jews or white people. Palestinians also can't marry other Palestinians because the Jews have put them into a caste system, placing some above others. And you're not allowed to go up a caste, but you can go down. Can you imagine that? That a country is doing that to another country legally, and we sell them the weapons to do that and give them the money to do that. Biden pledged something like $1.6 billion of aid to Israel to help them defend against the occupants of Israel, because he won't even say the name Palestine. Sounds pretty North Korean, doesn't it, Clary? Sounds almost worse when you think about the fact that unlike North Korea, we support them and actively encourage this.
Many indeed actually end up leaving and choosing to live abroad because it is that difficult.
On rare occasions, Palestinians are able to change their ID, but only in one direction.
See?
For instance, if a Palestinian from East Jerusalem moves...
I keep saying with this stuff, like, I get really annoyed at what Cringey's saying because she's just chatting out her ass and she doesn't know shit. And I know I get stuff wrong occasionally. Very often, in fact. Whenever I do, I instantly apologize and try and correct it. But I do kind of know what I'm talking about sometimes. Fuck's sake, I don't know where in the video we were.
If a Palestinian from East Jerusalem
There we go.
moves somewhere else inside the West Bank, they could lose their residency in East Jerusalem. And Israel, since it's considered that a downgrade, then that's a direction that would be feasible.
So Clary, this is the answer. This, when you were asking what happens when they're evicted, and I said they end up in Gaza Strip. So it might not be Gaza first, but you end up in Gaza. Because there is no working up. There's only working your way down. Which means all roads eventually lead to one place. Because at some point, people crash and fall at the barrier that they've been set. That ceiling placed in front of them. That ceiling of guns and missiles. That lead ceiling placed in front of them. Weighs them down. And then you fall below a curtain. And then you look up and that curtain is another lead and concrete gunpowder ceiling. This is why I keep saying to people Attack on Titan is a surprisingly important anime at the moment, and that the fact that the wall that surrounds the walled city and makes them all feel safe, it's a very important revelation that that wall that makes them feel safe is made out of colossal titans, nukes ready to destroy the world. It was that moment where I went, oh, we see, Amma, this is all about Jerusalem and Israel and the Jews. The titans are Jews.
Further down the line, again, from Israel's perspective, if West Bankers move to the Gaza Strip, then that's a direction that Israel will accept, but not in the opposite direction.
So while Palestinians are granted different rights based on their IDs, nowhere do those rights match those of Israeli Jews. Looks like we can check off at least one of the elements required for apartheid to apply. When Israel was founded in 1948, 700,000 Palestinians had fled or been forced out. The result was that the new state had a Jewish majority. To maintain that majority, Israel has never allowed the refugees to return. The Palestinians who remained were given Israeli citizenship, although they were kept under strict military rule for 19 years. But in 1966,
she is American, so I'll forgive her for not making point of this. Who's military? Who's backing? Is the Jews didn't just magically have an army out of nowhere. It is important to know where the Jewish army originally came from that they used. It's important to know which country had a very sizable army that was no longer fighting wars and had been key in the Treaty of Versailles and their dealings with, I'm going to sound like a conspiracy theorist here, but please, everyone else, jack it up yourselves, the Rothschilds. It was the British Army. It was the British Army enforcing this shit.
The refugees to return. The Palestinians who remained were given Israeli citizenship, although they were kept under strict military
Don't those tents look kind of colonial?
Rule for 19 years. But in 1967, when Israel occupied more lands,
They're literally fucking British military tents.
including Gaza, the West Bank, and East Jerusalem, it faced a problem. It wanted the land, but didn't want the Palestinians on that land. So it's refused to extend citizenship to the rest of the Palestinians under its control, while keeping them under military rule ever.
And again, you join the IDF, 18 years old, they get children and they put uniforms on them and then send them out to bully innocents.
Citizenship to the rest of the
Look at that, they're fucking LARPing teenagers in army uniforms attacking innocent people because they have guns and a uniform, so they can.
Palestinians under its control, while keeping them under military rule ever since. To further control the ratio of Palestinians to Israeli Jews, Israel still bans Palestinian refugees and their descendants from moving into any of the territories it controls, while encouraging any Jewish person anywhere in the world to immigrate to Israel. Even
Free of fucking charge, motherfucker. They would pay me to do it. They will pay me. It's the only fucking passport I can get from such a powerful country that I wouldn't have to pay for. You know, if I want to get American passport, if I want to get fucking St. Lucian passport, if I want to get Italian European passport, that involves me giving their country money, you know, paying for years of living there first, paying for land, property. Motherfucking Israel will pay me to do it. Because I got that sweet Jew blood.
Even if they've never set foot there before. In Jerusalem, the Israeli authorities actually have
Right trip.
a population target, 60% Jews to 40% Palestinians. Palestinians in Jerusalem are only granted a permanent residency permit, even if they've been living in the city since before.
It's not nationality, it's just residency. Brown Muslims, full stop, non-Jews. If you don't have that sweet white Jewish blood, you can only ever be a resident of Israel, a non-permanent resident. You can never, ever be a national. You can never, ever be a true person of that country. Now, if that's not racist and wrong, I don't know what is. If that's not crazy elitist, I don't know what is. Quit your chutzpah. Trying to get me to say oy vey. Oy vey.
Israel was founded.
About 350,000 Palestinians are in that status, and which is Orwellian the way it's defined, because the only thing permanent in permanent residency is that it can actually always be taken away.
These permits can be revoked if a Palestinian moves out of the city, but Jewish Israelis living in Jerusalem never lose residency, even if they move to the other side of the world. This discrimination has been enshrined in Israeli law. The 2018 nation-state law says that Israel is the nation-state of the Jewish people, and that the right to national self-determination in the state of Israel is unique to the Jewish people. That means that even Palestinians with Israeli citizenship aren't considered equal to Jews with Israeli citizenship.
Because they don't have right to self-determination. Only us Jews have the right to self-determination. The right to self-determination is the right to say, because my ancestors lived in Israel 2,000 years ago. They also probably lived in Egypt and all sorts of other places too, because some of them potentially lived in Israel 2,000 years ago. I have the right to live there now, 2,000 years later, at the expense of other humans' lives. I wish we had no borders. I wish we all had the right to freely travel wherever we want and freely pitch our flag where we want. Wish I had the right to just go into the fucking Lake District and have a bit of land and build a fucking cabin there. I can't because fucking governments suck. But to have the right at somebody else's expense is not something I want. It feels gross. It feels inhumane. It feels morally abhorrent. It's literally a thing that I bring up all the time. It makes me feel sick to my core. Absolutely sick when I think about my birthright. That you shits don't have. You goys don't have. You're just Gentiles. It's so dumb. Makes me absolutely sick.
Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu put it, Israel is not a state of all its citizens, but rather...
And it makes me sick because being a birthright, I can't get rid of it. There's nothing I can do to erase my ancestry or genealogy. Is there? I will forever have that right. Supported by the most powerful militaries in the world. British, American, and Israeli military all support this right, and Russia's military too. We say we have all these issues with the Russians, but we all get along over Israel.
The nation state of the Jewish people, and only them. So let's go back...
No, every patch of land in the world is now owned. Every spot of land in the world, Clary, is owned, and it is no longer possible for anyone to actually just do it, if that makes sense. It can't legally be done anymore. Nobody can just independently set up their own country anymore. It requires UN registration, blah, 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 blah. And below that, it requires the people in your country not arresting you for it. I think people still get away with it in some countries, you know. East Asia, it's possible certainly to just head into the jungle and fucking build yourself a place to live and farm and whatever, as long as you don't get fucked over by somebody who actually does own that bit of land and finds you there one day, be that government or mob or farmer. You don't know. People still get away with it. I know in Canada and America, just heading off into the wilderness and living out in the wilderness for years by themselves, but nobody gets away with just going out into the wilderness and then building a town or building a home. And you can't do that in this country anywhere, let alone the world. You could get away with it in Russia and Siberia, perhaps. But yeah, there we go. Yeah, you agree. Yeah, Russia, Siberia, parts of Mongolia, parts of China, But even China, no. Even China, there was a very famous city, town, block, district of people that just illegally building homes that got shut down. But yeah, Siberia is just the land isn't fertile, is half the problem. It's never been particularly volcanic land there, so it's far from arable. It's too cold for animals, and even scrubby grass struggles to grow in huge swaths of northern Russia and Siberia. It's just ice and snow and rock, and bad dirt. But here in the UK, it's impossible. Nobody does it. Again, maybe you missed it when we covered it, but like here in the UK, you can't even be a farmer and own 100 hectares of land and get away with building a castle for yourself. You can't even build your own castle here in the UK when you own the land. If the government says that land you own is within Greenbelt, because if it's in Greenbelt, even if you own the land, you don't own the land. You own permission to use the land for about 10 things: growing rapeseed, putting solar panels, or shit.
Back to that list from before. The nation-state law is only one of many Israeli laws that explicitly discriminate against Palestinians. For example, there's the 1950 Absentees Property Law. Deeming Palestinian refugees absentees, Israel seized hundreds of thousands of acres of their land, even though they were only absent because Israel wouldn't let them return. Remember, denying people the right to return to their country is on the list of inhumane acts that legally make up the third element of apartheid. There are more Israeli policies that could fall under the category of inhumane acts, especially when it comes to land.
So Israel desires the land, even more so desires empty land or land that it makes empty, and doesn't desire the Palestinians living on that land. And that has resulted in policies in which land is constantly moving in one direction. Land that used to be Palestinian becomes state land, and then that land is allocated for the development of towns and communities for Jewish citizens.
And yes, expropriation of land is also an inhumane act.
That's the point. Like, the guy owned the land, Clarion. It was off the grid, and he still couldn't get away with it. The UK is just too small, and our police and stuff are too snitchy.
So let's see what that looks like on the ground. Across the entire territory, Palestinian communities are overcrowded and surrounded by Jewish-only communities.
It's the same type of practice of encircling Palestinian communities so that they can't expand, cutting them off from one another. It's a continuous practice that began in 1948 and was expanded to the West Bank in 1967.
Soon.
The Israeli state prioritizes Jewish development in places where it wants to restrict the growth of Palestinian communities.
We're technically on the same topic. This was an interjection of Cringey's video just to explore current day mass human cruelty.
With the government keen to Judaize areas
Group psychology turned into cruelty.
like the Galilee and the Negev.
Israeli politicians frequently use that term to Judaize an area, in other words, to ensure Israeli Jewish dominance in a particular area, where the government has a concern.
Makes her uncomfortable saying it too, to Zionize an area, to Judaize an area.
Palestinian demography. And in any other context, this would be condemned as, gross ethnic engineering. It's in its basic laws, which is essentially the Israeli constitution. The land is deemed for the Jewish people, not the Israeli people, but the Jewish people.
In fact, only 3% of the land inside Israel's 1948 borders is allocated for its Palestinian citizens. Meanwhile, hundreds of new communities have been built for its Jewish citizens, many on the ruins of destroyed Palestinian villages. Plus, there's the 200 illegal Jewish settlements that have been built across the West Bank as well. At the same time, thousands of Palestinian homes have been demolished or are under threat of demolition, having been built without permits because Israel rejects most Palestinian building applications. Having many on the ruins of destroyed Palestinian villages.
You see these, right? These aren't just special communes. these ones. These are really privileged ones that we're looking at here, okay? Some of these places that we're looking at here, the people that live in them live an entirely government-subsidized life. But it's not that they're on benefits or anything like that. It's that they are... they're like Hasidic Jews. They have a slightly different name, or they might be Hasidic Jews in Israel, the Israeli versions, but basically they get to live a sort of communistic lifestyle. Everyone has the same, everyone shares, everyone has the same food, they do a bit of farming, and they just get to live this perfect, idyllic lifestyle, completely state subsidized and afforded by the Israeli government. But they're also mostly populated by settlers. Ergo, I hate the use of the term settlers. It's so wrong. They're inhabited by foreign immigrant Jews.
Plus, there's the 200 illegal Jewish settlements that have destroyed Palestinian villages. Plus,
that looks cushy, right? It's a bit better than just like living in a fucking council estate, isn't it?
there's the 200 illegal Jewish settlements that have been built across the West Bank as well. At the same time, thousands of Palestinian homes have been demolished or are under threat of demolition, having been built without permits because Israel rejects most Palestinian building applications.
That's what I could get as a 30-year-old Jewish male. I could go there with no skills and provide nothing to the country and get to live in one of those because I'm a white Jewish male. So I'd get to live in one of those cushy places and live an entirely much more comfortable life than I currently do now. Just have to embrace evil. Weird, right?
Meanwhile, in the Negev desert, the Israeli government wants to maximize the land available for Jewish development. So it has tried to force Palestinian Bedouin citizens into small townships by demolishing their homes and not allowing them to connect to the water and power grids. One village, El Araqib, has been demolished more than 180 times.
Now, just across the Green Line, a similar struggle is taking place in the village of Susio.
This is why when they say, why don't they just spend their money better? Why don't they just build hospitals? Why don't they just build schools? They do 180 times. They do. They pick up and they rebuild. They do. And they get destroyed 180 motherfucking times. Can you imagine a village being rebuilt 180 times in the last 50 years? Can you actually comprehend that thought, guys? Your home village having its water and power cut off now for the last 4 years, but also having to rebuild it 180 times. Every child in that village knowing what it's like to watch their home destroyed and rebuilt 3 to 4 times a year.
Which is in the West Bank, just south of Hebron. And it too has faced a series of mass demolitions by authorities in an attempt to establish Israeli Jewish control over the area.
Looks like we can check off another one of the criteria for apartheid. Israel has total control of this entire territory, even in Gaza and the West Bank, which have some limited autonomous Palestinian administration in place.
Imagine having your home destroyed but watching them build those walls at the same time.
Israel controls the borders, trade, resources, water, electricity, the airspace, the electromagnetic spectrum, the population registry, and more. Accusing a government of carrying out a crime against humanity like apartheid is no simple matter. But we've seen how Israel's control over and discrimination against Palestinians fits the legal threshold for apartheid. Israel's own leaders knew this was happening, although they didn't do much to stop it.
The state that you have at the moment is an apartheid state, isn't it?
It's not yet apartheid, but it might come on this slippery slope toward apartheid.
Still, how could apartheid apply to Israel when, say, Palestinian citizens can vote?
Ela Klein was in the IDF, she was in the IDF when Ethan met her, she was one of the guards, IDF guards, on his bus. One of the cute girls on the bus for American tourists to try and get with. They are the classic story, except he took her back to the USA. She has never spoken a word in this last year in favor of Israel, and Ethan has spoken a few times about the situation in defense of Palestine and against Israel's actions. So from that, I assume the both of them are not particularly pro-Israel anymore. Even if they may have once upon a time perhaps been. But I don't know. I don't necessarily think they ever were. Hila's parents and Moses' parents still live in Israel, and that's where Trisha and Moses are getting married, in Israel. But Hila and Ethan aren't going to that. And I don't think they're particularly close to Hila's parents, so interesting, right?
As a Palestinian citizen of Israel, I cannot question the fundamental constitution of Israel, which says that the state is for the Jewish people and the Jewish people alone. My citizenship doesn't allow for inclusion in that state, and so therefore participation in Israeli elections or in the Knesset is really nominal and has no potential to change policy.
Another argument against the accusation of apartheid is that the occupation is only temporary, and when it ends, Palestinians will rule themselves.
Normal people don't think that 54 years is temporary. We've passed that line already a very long time ago. And yeah, there's a lot of Israeli propaganda insisting on that worldview of democracy plus temporary occupation. No, it's not a democracy and it's not a temporary occupation. It's one regime between the river and the sea, and that regime is apartheid.
What's life like?
Like, it is awful there, guys. It's just awful. It is deemed the world's largest prison. Like, we're not going to watch one more now, but yeah. Hare Krishna. Oh, I love you. Oh, it's Evangelina's, is it? Damn. Go in there first. Evangelina is good sometimes, eh?
300 volts.
Although I'm still terrified that she's saying she's friends with Edwin's generation. That genuinely scares the shit out of me, for her sake.
Variations of Milgram's experiment took place and different conclusions came based on this. It was concluded that an authority figure, the experimenter in a lab coat, was key to obedience, as a present authority figure meant that the participant was more likely to follow orders. If the experimenter was just wearing normal everyday clothes, obedience dropped 20%. It was also found that the location of the experiment was important, when held in an office building rather than something.
She's just reading out the Stanford prison experiment.
Personal possession.
She's literally just reading out the fucking Wikipedia page for the Stanford prison experiment, guys. Oh my god, how much of this video is just her reading out the Stanford prison experiment?
Had all been screened for psychological issues, a history of crime, substance misuse. All of these things were checked prior to the experiment taking place. None of the prisoners experienced issues emotionally or psychologically before going into this experiment, and none of the guards had any personality disorders or any problems with anger.
She just reads the Wikipedia page for the Stanford prison experiment for 7 minutes, half of this video.
Both of these experiments make me ponder the nature of evil. Both of these experiments focus.
They make me ponder the nature of... Is this why she's called Cringey? Because her writing is really cringy. Both of these experiments make me ponder the nature of evil.
Focus on power and what power does. There are two common sayings about power. Absolutely.
It's really like year 11 creative writing sort of thing. Bit of GCSE creative writing, you know.
Absolute power corrupts absolutely, and another that contrasts this, Power doesn't corrupt, it reveals. When looking at these experiments and mass atrocities that inspired these experiments, the latter saying gives a depressing and pessimistic view of humanity. It's
Why is she just throwing? There's been Socrates, there's been so many quotes in this. What the fuck? She actually wrote like an essay, but it's a really short essay because half of the essay is just Stanford Prison Experiment from Wikipedia. I love it. Oh, she's so cringy.
message conveys
Aiden.
that not only
Mooney's passed out. Aiden.
are human beings capable of committing
You just finished work.
these things, that we actually want to, and the power is what reveals those innermost dark desires. Are human beings simply depraved and sadistic, and as soon as they get a sliver of power to get away with it, they do so because it reveals them? Or is it the power that corrupts and causes
That was a really fucking long-winded... Oh, her writing is hilarious. This is great.
that we actually want to, and the power is what reveals those innermost dark desires?
Here we go. Zinger.
Are human beings simply depraved and sadistic, and as soon as they get a sliver of power to get away with it, they do so because it reveals them?
I love it. Sorry.
Reveals those innermost dark desires.
That's just my new favorite scripted, like, because this is scripted. That's so glorious. It's great.
Are human beings simply depraved and sadistic, and as soon as they get a sliver of power to get away with it, they do so because it reveals them? Or is it the power that corrupts and causes them to do this? Looking at these experiments, I think the clear-cut answer is actually a third. A governing power that is revealing itself through its power will force people beneath them to do their bidding, and therefore reveals the governing body rather than those committing the atrocities.
She's really not good with words. I know I sometimes ramble on and overcomplicate things a bit, but when I'm trying to be succinct, we normally get me there, don't we? That was... I think absolute power corrupts absolutely is just a bit more of as... It's a bit easier to remember as all absolute power corrupts absolutely than... A governing body that is revealing itself through its power will force people beneath them to do their bidding, and therefore reveals the governing body rather than those committing the atrocities. I don't actually know what that meant. I don't know what that means. If somebody can... Oh, to be fair, and then I think, is this her explaining it, or is this like a continuation to her zinger?
When you have a corrupt authoritarian figure commanding you to do things, such as a man in a lab coat, or a researcher validating you by saying you can do whatever you want, that is what causes evil to happen. In the words of Anne Frank, in spite of everything...
Another quote, but I've realised what she's saying is evil triumphs when good men do nothing. That's what she was saying. That's what she was trying to say there. When evil triumphs when a good man says nothing. That's what she's trying to say, I think, right?
When you have a corrupt authoritarian figure commanding you to do things, such as a man in a lab coat, or a researcher validating you by saying you can do whatever you want, that is what causes evil to happen. In the words of Anne Frank,
when a man in a lab coat is telling you can do what you want, that's what makes evil happen. But who's above that man? Cringey, Cringey's blaming the middleman. It's the middleman that's the cause of everything. It's not the man above him. And it's not you. It's the middleman.
In spite of everything, I still believe people are really good at heart.
Cool. Thank you, Cringey. In the words of Anne Frank. That was... Out of town visiting friends, saw 2 movies tonight. Very nice indeed. Oh, I should have a movie night soon. I really want to, actually. I want to see... I forgot what it was I wanted to see. There was something I wanted to see in the cinemas. No, Trip. It's not that power corrupts and causes people. It's not that absolute power corrupts absolutely, and it's not that power reveals evil. It's not that evil people are revealed through power, or that absolute power corrupts absolutely. It's that a governing power that is revealing, governing power that is revealing itself through its power will force people beneath them to do their bidding, and therefore reveals the governing body rather than those committing the atrocities. It's about the governing power and the governing body rather than those committing the atrocities. And it's but Cringey, what corrupted Hitler? There was no governing power above him. He was Hitler. Is it that power revealed evil, or was it that absolute power corrupted him absolutely? You know, some would argue it's just that he was fucking evil. So the former. But it was the governing body that made Hitler evil. So Hitler was evil because of the Jews at the bank. Is that what you're saying, Cringey? Oh God! She really, like, I just need to go back to the start where she was talking about the Holocaust, because I thought she was going to actually say something bad about Hitler and it never happened. I just need to see how she segued away from insulting Hitler there. That was really weird for me. I'm not going to lie.
Explicitly state what is right and wrong, and societal norms taught from birth that relay the same message. Laws and attitudes adapt and change, meaning acts that may have been normalized in years.
I wonder what her real voice is like, because she's putting on such an accent all the time. I've spoken to her in a phone call. She doesn't. That's why it sounds weird, because I do know what her real voice is like. Duh. That's why it sounds so extra cringy for me now. I've spoken to her on the phone. She doesn't sound like this. I used to put a voice on in my old videos. That's why I find them really cringy whenever we watch them. And I'm like, I can't deal with this because it's the voice I put on. Damn.
Past are now seen as atrocities and examples of evil. In World War II, what constituted evil was given a whole new context. Not only were losses greater, 75 million compared to 20 million in World War I, but
that's not what gave evil a 20 million dying compared to 75 million people actually isn't the thing. That's not what gave evil a new context. It was the targeted genocide that gave evil a new context. And what are you saying?
the revelation of widespread depravity
The revelation of widespread depravity
reached the public.
But the revelation of widespread depravity reached the public. Wait.
Given a whole new context. Not only were losses greater,
5
million compared to 20 million in World War I,
but the revelation of not only were the losses greater, but the revelations of widespread depravity reached the public. That's what gave evil a new context. What?
But the revelation of widespread depravity reached the public. 1941 to 1945, Germany was engulfed in a structured, mechanical regime.
Anne Frank died in 1945 in the Bergen-Belsen concentration camp due to her typhus. First of May 1945, Hitler died. So some might say by 1945 what does she describe it as? The structured mechanical regime. The structured mechanical regime that had engulfed Germany in 1945. I don't think was still rage. I don't think it was still engulfing Germany. This regime aimed to rebuild.
This regime aimed to rebuild the world using unthinkable methods.
Unthinkable methods. She should be a politician. I said this the other day. This reframing, this use of language is scary to me. When you're on the psychology of collective evil and you're discussing evil and it's Halloween week and you're doing a scary video, why not say what happened, Cringey? Germany didn't think about using unthinkable methods to rebuild the world and have a structured regime. And then she moves straight on from that to, while culture-wide mandated bigotry, unethical experiments, forced labour, and calculated elimination of entire groups were not new concepts, they had never been conducted on such a massive scale. Genocide, Cringey, and genocide calculated in exactly such manners, such as by Churchill and his groups in the West Indies, such as by British settlers in America against the native indigenous people of America. It was very calculated. What do you think the extermination of all the bison was about? It wasn't just for fun and games, it was to starve the native people. British and white history have been involved in calculated mass genocides for millennia, Cringey. Forced labour and unethical experiments had been performed against specific groups, such as black slaves, ripped from their countries and sent to farm cotton and sugar in America. They had been forced into labour en masse as a people because of culture-wide mandated bigotry. These are words. %50 of the world's Jewish population were wiped out. In comparison, this was 60% of the population of Europe. Why are you why is that comparison needed? That's not a comparison. Those are just two complementary facts. You don't need to compare those two facts. Why does she say in comparison when she's not going to compare anything about those two things? She just uses words. 60% were murdered in comparison to 50%. Compare and contrast. What's the point, Cringey? Why are you saying in comparison? That mean it's actually incredible. It's actually just incredible. And then, she just segues straight on from it. So her feeling of Nazi Germany is that Nazi Germany was
1941 to 1945, Germany was engulfed in a structured, mechanical regime.
That's what Cringey is willing to call Nazi Holocaust Germany under Hitler's reign. That's her description of it. A structured mechanical regime. And she doesn't have a bad word to say about it. She slightly does, But she goes on to point out that, yeah, it was a bit worse than others, but doesn't really explain. It's so weird, this. I can't handle this. It almost makes me feel like I'm tripping with how dumb it is. I literally feel like I'm tripping from the stupidity. What the fuck? Yeah. This video is really interesting. And I need something that's not brain numbing after all that cringy. Some good content instead of shit content. And that could be me, I know, but this is really interesting and very on topic and will just be a great cap to things, I think. Twilight, it's really dumb. Everything that's happened tonight has been a bit surreal.
Oh boy. Here we go. British history is famous.
Oh no, MancPete even likes Metal Gear. He has all the same interests as me. The guy's probably heartbroken that I'm ripping into him so much. If only he'd listened to me tonight, I wouldn't have been ripping into him today, would he? Would I? I literally said to him, all you have to do is delete those Discords and address it. And instead he chose not to, flip the fuck out, and then post a video with ableist homophobic language, and then defend ableist homophobic language. It's so weird. Wait, what? Why is she apologizing here, saying, apologies, I didn't know Caucasian wasn't the correct term and I didn't know the meaning behind it. A brief list of non-Japanese anime characters, only using one per franchise. Eren Yeager, Caucasian German. Li Zilen, Chinese. Asuka, quarter Japanese, 3/4 Caucasian German and American. Viktor Nikiforov, Caucasian Russian. Alice Cartler, British Caucasian. Why is she upset? What does Caucasian mean? I'm confused now. I'm more just confused why she had to keep writing Caucasian. It means white-skinned of European origin. Yeah, like you don't need to write German Caucasian. You just write Caucasian, surely. Why is Caucasian offensive? Criticism. After discussing various criteria used in biology to define subspecies or races, Alan R. Templeton concluded in 2016, the answer to the question whether races exist in humans is a clear and unambiguous no. Hey, wasn't I saying that earlier, that we're all the human race, and that talking about races is actually just really dumb the more you think about it, and the whole discussion that anyone has on race is just racist because we're all just the human race and it literally doesn't matter. I literally wrote those words in Discord earlier today. Guess what? I'm supported by current discussions on this exact thing by current professionals in the field, it would seem. Because we're all the fucking human race. There's more there's more genetic diversity between a Somalian African and a Nigerian African than there is between me as a white person and a Japanese person. Did you know that? 2 black people in Africa are more likely to have a greater genetic diversity than I am to a Japanese person. It's kind of interesting because there is so much genetic diversity on the continent of Africa because there is no black race. There is no Caucasian race. So yeah, it's why I don't use the term Caucasian. You hear me talk, I say white. Comes from the Caucasus Mountains. The people who originated from that part of the world weren't white. Right. That's also doubly hilarious then, isn't it? That's doubly fucking hilarious. I'm just happy that my own perception... You see, sometimes I just come up with these thoughts off my own based of what feels right and what feels wrong. And for ages, this whole discussion of race and stuff just feels wrong. And I've said it for ages now. Like, if you were to take photos of 1,000 people across the planet and line them up based on their similarities, well, every person next to each person would look like a twin. You know, to your left and your right, those people would basically look identical. But as you get from person 1 to person 1,000, you'd have the two most polar opposite looking people on the planet. Because we are just all the same. We are. We just fucking obviously are. Sup, dicks? You finished work. I'm still live. You must be like, oh my god, what is GDL doing?
Say this, however. There are a number of people out there who may see this and may think I'm talking about them. If that's you, you may be right. You're on my radar. And trust me, if or when it comes out that you're playing some gay ops, this will only end worse for you than you could ever make me look.
He sent this video to me as his defense. He sent this to me as his defense. No, she told me that she was right and to stop talking about her, so shush. And where's the other one? Because I see people didn't clip it annoyingly. Oh.
Troublemakers, drama, and other undesirable people and behaviours. That said, in the ingenuous twats, outright liars, it's all around it to achieve that. But poking my head around other communities, I can see that the internet is full of disingenuous twats, outright liars, spurgs, and dangerously volatile people.
He has to keep his community safe from the disingenuous twats, outright liars, autistic slur, derogatory slur for autistic people, and dangerously volatile people. So you better not be running no gay ops against him. That's the video he sent to me to say he had addressed the issue of underage viewers in his audience. Comparing Aspergic people, outright liars, disingenuous twats, and dangerously volatile people, and saying that people he doesn't like that are trolls are performing gay ops. Gay ops. The gay agenda is against him, obviously. We watched one of his other TikToks where he was complaining about how white people are oppressed, basically, because they're not allowed to use racist words anymore. I kind of want to find that TikTok quickly. It was on here. It's worth just seeing again because it was just so bad. It was really, really bad. I do apologise for just how bad this is. Like, I'm really sorry. This is going to hurt you with how bad this is. This is cringe.
This is Dave Lister of the JMC Transport Vehicle Starbug. We're down on supplies. We need help. Out. By the way, we're in space. Just with the sort of ready moon a couple of days ago. Coordinates enclosed. It's about that shape. Don't listen.
So you're like, what about that's white pathetic? And then you see, can't have curry anymore. It's racialist or something. Send help or curry shorts. And there was another one of his where he was also complaining about something that white people can't say. And now it's not fair. He's straight sleaze. It's Dix is right. Yep. No lies there. So I responded, Debs, to that with, and Dix to that with, your defense against this shit is to use ableist, homophobic slurs and call anyone that has an issue with you a troll. Fascinating, he replied, because I use the terms, he said, spurge, gross term, and gay ops, gross term. Which again, I, as someone who only came out last year, I do take that. Not okay. This whole thought that there's a gay... I don't care if it means something else. People literally have to Google the Urban Dictionary meaning to find out what it means. And even then, if you don't click the Urban Dictionary meaning, you get links to Goatsy and things, guys. You get links to Goatsy, and then you get Reddit links to people talking about the gay agenda and shit. So, gay ops may mean one thing on Urban Dictionary and to Kiwi Farms. He's obviously a Kiwi farmer. But it also means something else entirely, doesn't it? To a lot of other people. I hear that and I just go, ugh, how dare you fucking... Gay ops refers to dumbass gotchas. It's a thing. Look it up. On Kiwi Farms. The term that refers to individuals who bullheadedly force their way through their own narrative in the face of either proof against it or the knowledge that no one cares, usually the second. I'm not forcing my way through a narrative. Then I said, just Googled, you make me feel sick. I got diagnosed with it when I was 20. 20 or 19. I can't remember. 20, I think. No, I know you're not the N-word type of Kiwi farmers. I know you use the spurge term in your thread, my friend, but you don't use it here. And you know my feelings on that. I've made that shit very abundantly clear to you anyway, so if you were the N-word type of Kiwi farmers, I wouldn't talk to you remotely, even close. I really wouldn't. That's people that are I myself have in the past been too comfortable bandying that word around in close friendship groups and things, and I hate that. I do. I understand the damage that comfortability can cause other people. I do. I really do. Doesn't matter that it's in the privacy of your own home with some things. You know, you can't murder people in the privacy of your own home. Sure, that's a bit more extreme, but it's a slippery slope, don't you know? Yeah, or it's like I was saying, I sometimes say about myself, I don't use the word honest, I say I've been spurging out sometimes. I'll be like, oh my God, Pete, stop spurging out. When I act a bit like a... It's always in reference to myself, literally. Something like the F slur I do use with my close friends in regards to myself normally. Because it's something that people called me my entire life. But I will not use it on stream because I will not normalize or glamorize the use of the word itself. I don't want to give people that power. A conversation that I, as a bisexual person, would love to have with a black person one day about the N-word and the normalization and enableization of that word for others that shouldn't use it by glamorizing it. You know? If every gay rapper starts singing about being an FAG, then soon straight, homophobic cunts will start feeling comfortable using that word again. That's not a slippery slope argument actually that I'm making there. That's just a empirical statistical fact that we see repeated around the world en masse all the fucking time. So the fact that he was even using this term in a video from a few months ago just says something to me. It says to me he's lurking in sketchy avenues or existing in an echo chamber that encourages and supports really gross behavior and language. People might say that I'm a fucking anti-free speech, or I blah blah. I said pro-censorship, but yeah, I am in my domain personally, because we each have our ability to make a very small impact on the world, and the very small impact I can make on this world is giving people an area sans bigotry. You can never trust Kiwi Farms, mate. It's the problem. You know. I don't feel bad. Again, them talking about me as the way, at the end of the day, the way they talk about me is derogatory, insulting, whilst sharing one of my videos because they want to know what's in the video, but they don't want to watch it. It's normally that. It'll be something like, Granddad's Lounge just posted a video. I don't want to watch it. Can someone watch this and tell me what's in it? He really annoys me. And that'll be it. And I'm like, sick. I'm that guy that they want to know what I'm saying, but I annoy them. And I'm fine being that. Oh, it's great. So yeah. Share that picture. Wait, what happened? So I said, just Googled, you make me feel sick with that. He said, that makes you feel sick. Whoo, I might start a GFM for your friends then. What's a GFM? Does anyone know what a GFM is? That top search result summed them up to a T. Dude, I still have, now much decreased, respect for you. I've seen your content, but trust me, on this you're wrong. It's so sad. I broke his heart, guys. I've broken his heart. I've done this to a few people now. I feel so bad. He loves me.